This is Atomic Shinobi and today I'm going to narrate first part of what if Naruto was sent to another dimension by Shinigami. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Not wasting no time, let's start the story.
According to Uchiha Sasuke, a black-haired teenager with red eyes and black pupils shaped like a six-sided star, looks like you, still can't beat me, Dobi, she said wearily. You wish, Teme, a boy named Uzumaki Naruto, who had blue eyes with pupil slits and spiked blonde hair, wheezed. With a kunai drawn and ready to cut Sasuke, Naruto stumbled toward him. He was too tired to use Kyuubi form or even gather nature energy to enter Sage mode after the two had been fighting non-stop for the past 2 days. He actually only had enough chakra for one jutsu, but now that both of them were sufficiently weak, it ought to work. How could Sasuke have failed to use his eternal Mangekyo Sharingan when he could see the attack coming? Despite his best efforts to avoid the blow, Naruto managed to cut his cheek just enough to draw some blood. To his surprise, Naruto appeared to be quite proud of himself. He weaved hand signs more quickly than Sasuke believed Naruto could. Naruto muttered, dog, boar, bull, rabbit, bird, rat, sheep, rabbit, snake, dragon, as he performed the hand signals. Forbidden Jutsu. Shinigami Summoning Jutsu. A black smoke rose from the ground as Naruto slammed his hand down. A deep voice said, "You are crafty as always, Uzumaki Naruto," coming from the smoke. Just what I would expect from Kyuubi no Yoko's Jinchuriki. When Sasuke looked closely, he saw a man standing in front of him wearing a red demon's mask and wearing a white haori. He was holding a scythe in his right hand and a knife in his left. Sneering, the man said, "And, if it isn't Uchiha, I see you are wearing those eyes proudly like the rest of your insufferable clan. How foolish your ancestors were trying to replicate the power of my own eyes." The man revealed enough of his face for Sasuke to see his left eye, leaving him dumbfounded. It resembled his eternal Mangekyo Sharingan quite a bit, but it also appeared to be crossed with the Rinnegan. The man praised in scorn, "I will commend you on your eyes being the closest to mine in all of your clan's history. To try to imitate my eternal illusion, to believe your black flames burn as hotly as mine, to bend reality for a moment like I can bend mine for eternity, and of course to torture the poor soul of Susanoo. You Uchiha truly hold no honor. For this opportunity, I shall reward you Uzumaki Naruto." Sasuke stumbled out, What are you talking about?" Even though he wasn't easily frightened, there was something about this creature that made him shiver. It was similar to his encounter with Orochimaru during the Chunin exams, but 100 times worse. "Who or why you?" "Shinigami." Sama arrogantly yelled, "As stupid as the rest of your full clan, aren't you? Did you not hear Uzumaki Naruto? I am the governor of death and the container of all souls, Shinigami." Sama and Sasuke felt his heart break under the weight of him. "The technique the Jinchuriki used to summon me was a simple yet suicidal technique that I bestowed the one you know as the Sage of Six Paths to use on the Jubi should that putrid creature resist its sealing. I shall take both you and the Jinchuriki into a dimension of eternal darkness." Sasuke turned to a determined Naruto, looking scared. "What are you doing, you idiot? To use this kind of power is just plain stupid." "Sasuke," Naruto said coolly, "I can't kill you. Or, to be more precise, I won't kill you, Sasuke. I can't bring you back to Konoha since you and Madara destroyed them along with the rest of the ninja villages. I can't take you to Sakura since you killed her along with the rest of my friends. I promised myself I would never kill you, but I won't let you get away with what you've done." Sasuke screamed, "Are you stupid or what?" With anger. "Why the hell couldn't you just kill me like any reasonable shinobi?" With a phony smile, Naruto said, "I told you I would take your hatred, didn't I? Your hatred is darkness, Sasuke, and I will let the realm of darkness constrict around me, choke me. I'm going to take it all." According to Shinigami Sama, so you thought Uzumaki Naruto, however, I am indebted to you. You are the one who sealed 8 of the Biju on the moon and sacrificed yourself to hold onto the Kyuubi no Yoko for eternity, rather seal it on the moon as well. He was already beginning to feel less exhausted because of the Kyuubi. Yeah, well, if I sealed the Kyuubi on the moon as well, it would have revived the Jubi and the 8 trigram seal with each beast, as a point wouldn't work with a 9th element anyway, Naruto said sheepishly. I'd rather be stuck with this curse of a demon forever than let that damned monster have any chance to escape. Jinchuriki. The power of human sacrifice. You wear that name proudly as it was meant to be worn, but that is not all I am indebted to you for, said Shinigami. Sama. You are the one to kill Yakushi Kabuto, who defied me in my realm by reviving the dead. You are the one to kill Uchiha Madara, who monstrously defied my powers of death, and now you offer me to finish off the last of the Uchiha clan. As a god, I shall pay back my debt, But first, Shinigami. Sama approached the terrified Sasuke slowly. His instincts kicked in when he saw the god approaching. When he released Amaterasu, the flames were put out before they could even emit smoke, and when he activated Tsukiyomi, the illusion was instantly destroyed. Shinigami. Sama calmly walked through the flames as if they were just a match-lit flame after he fearfully set off his fire jutsus. He let out whatever lightning jutsu he could, using his low chakra to the fullest extent possible. At last, when the god was only 5 paces away, he unleashed his most powerful attack in defense, Susanoo. Sasuke was gravely mistaken if he believed that would shield him. The summoned being was seized by Shinigami Sama before the boy could comprehend what had happened, and he was gradually swallowed up like a child drinking milk through a straw. At this point, Sasuke was so terrified that he was immobile when the man touched his head. Sasuke gradually began to glow a dark red light from his head down, but it gradually stopped and vanished. WH. What did you just do? Shaking like a scared child, Sasuke asked. Shinigami. Sama proudly declared, I took away your bastardized eyes, and Sasuke turned pale. I also granted you the eternal life that your ancestors and that snake master of yours, Orochimaru, were so fixated on. You shall spend eternity in the dark realm. You shall never know death's embrace or the chance to see any you cared about ever again. You shall spend eternity alone. That is the punishment of your darkness and the crimes of your family. Now be gone. Shinigami. Sama swiftly opened a hole in the dimension by slicing the air behind Sasuke with his scythe. As the god literally lifted Sasuke and tossed him in, Naruto could only see darkness. No. Sasuke screamed, his composure and sense of superiority gone. He looked like a broken child. Sasuke screamed in terror, but Naruto could only watch with tears as the hole closed in front of him. Since Sasuke's punishment had been carried out, Naruto was afraid of what the god of death might do to him. Shinigami. Sama said, now for you Uzumaki Naruto, in a much kinder tone. For the sacrifices you made, the dreams you've lost, the people who've been stolen from you and the happiness that was robbed from you, I grant you rejuvenation. Before Naruto's body abruptly returned to its pre-battle state, he was unsure of what that meant. His chakra pool was at its fullest and he was fully recovered. The boy's stunned expression made the god laugh. For the debt I owe you, however, I grant you the right to a new dimension. I shall send you to another dimension. What you do there and who you become is up to you, but know this Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Yoko. This forbidden jutsu shall never work for you again or the Uchiha child. His blood being used in the summoning made sure of that. Naruto said, I understand Shinigami. Sama, with a respect that he had never shown anyone in his life. Thank you. It was Shinigami Sama who said, You're very welcome Naruto, with a faint smile that was hidden behind his mask. The god used his knife to carefully cut open a hole, and Naruto approached it slowly, but he turned around to survey the sight in front of him just before he entered. He gazed down at the remains of his village while standing atop his father Namikaze Minato's carved head, the only face left intact. Farewell Konohakagure no Sato. Farewell all of my friends, and farewell to you my world, he said, smiling softly as he gazed out at it with sadness as the sun started to set. I swear to you on the Konoha Hite.8 and on my title as the 6th Hokage that I will properly represent this village and the ideals it has taught me. Nice speech, Shinigami. Sama said with a smile. This is why I like you kid, but the gateway is going to close soon, are you ready? Naruto took out his storage scroll and made sure it was undamaged because he had started storing his most valuable belongings in it after Pain attacked the village the previous year. He had his old goggles, his Shinobi Hite.8, Jiraiya's Icha Icha series and Tales of a Gutsy Ninja books, Zabuza's guillotine sword, several scrolls of wind jutsus from Gaara, several scrolls of water jutsus from Killer Bee, his birthright from his father, the old Team 7 photo, a photo of him and Sakura on their first date, which had become a triple date with Ino and Choji, Kiba, and Hinata, and a picture of him and Sakura standing in front of a newly rebuilt Konoha. Yeah, I'm ready, Naruto declared as he turned his back on his destroyed village at the last moment of light. Naruto entered his new world with his head held high, knowing that once the portal closed, he would never be able to go back home. The portal closed, and Shinigami Sama said, Good luck to you Uzumaki Naruto, savior of the shinobi world, before he vanished in black smoke. I wonder what kind of world I'll end up in, Naruto thought as he slowly made his way through the portal. Will I have to use my abilities to defeat anyone there? Will my abilities be required at all? Since I don't have many skills outside of ninja work, I really hope so. When Naruto saw what he had entered, his thoughts drifted. A girl who appeared to be a few years younger than him, with orange hair tied in bell adorned pigtails, leaned down and planted a kiss on the lips of a young boy with red hair directly in front of him. Something that sounded like Pactio, or something similar was screamed out by the small weasel. Ferret. Thingy, which was odd. Not to mention the ceiling circle that glows beneath them. Naruto let out a startled yelp. Did Shinigami Sama just send me into a world of forbidden love and Shota cons? A new masculine voice screamed out, "Ah!" by the three of them. Kagurazaka Asuna, the orange-haired girl, jumped back in shock and muttered a curse as she saw the comparatively attractive blonde staring at her incredulously. If she could remove that awful flush from her face, it wouldn't be so horrible. As the red-haired boy, Negi Springfield, attempted to understand what she had just done, Asuna stammered, What are you doing here?" "This is just where I ended up," Naruto remarked sarcastically. "Sorry I walked in on your forbidden love with little kids." Indignation and embarrassment caused Asuna's face to flush. "It's not like that." Nervously, Negi questioned, "Then why did you do that, Asuna-san? I've never kissed anyone before." A voice yelled, "Hey new guy," and Naruto turned to look around. "Down here." Naruto noticed the weasel. Ferret. Thingy speaking to him when he looked down. "Can ya fight?" "Huh? Yeah, I'm real strong too," Naruto said proudly, and the trio was a little freaked at his lack of awe of a talking animal. The device said, "Great, see that blonde loli over there," indicating a young girl of 10 who was dressed in a split skirt and black shirt. When Naruto noticed that the front parted just enough to reveal her underwear, he almost toppled over. "Her name's Evangeline A.K. McDowell and she's what you call a super vampire and an evil mage." Naruto questioned, "So, she's the bad guy? Girl? So, why are these two making out in the middle of a battle anyway?" An angry Asuna screamed, "I told you it wasn't like that, idiot. Like hell I would make out with a 10-year-old brat. I had to kiss him on the lips to fulfill the contract." Naruto said, "Whatever you want to call it," and the weasel. Ferret. Thingy burst out laughing. "It's really not like that, I'm afraid I didn't get your name," offered Negi in an embarrassing tone. "That's because I didn't introduce myself, brat," Naruto remarked, causing the young boy's hair to stand up. "The name's Uzumaki Naruto, the 6th Hokage. Even if it only has been a month." Introduced as Kagurazaka Asuna, Asuna scowled at Naruto. "Albert Chamomile, but you can call me Chamo for short," the weasel. Ferret. Thingy said. "And, I'm an ermine, not a damn ferret." Negi introduced herself as, "I'm Negi Springfield. What Asuna-san did was make herself my partner and protector. The contract is done through a kiss, but I thought we did that earlier though." "A kiss on the cheek isn't good enough, Aniki. Only a proper kiss will create a real contract," Chamo said. Angry, Naruto questioned, "So, are we going to fight today or what?" Negi began to say, "Maybe you should stay out of this, Uzumaki-san." Naruto flicked the boy's head and remarked, "First of all, it's Naruto or Naruto.ni, none of that formal crap. And, like hell am I going to let a 10-year-old brat fight some evil chick? Although it would help if I knew what a mage was." At that, the three of them were criticized. "What the hell are you doing going into a fight if you don't even know what she is capable of?" Asuna screamed. "Are you stupid or what?" Naruto shrugged and said, "I've been blind before in battle before. So, what is a mage?" Despite Negi's explanation that a mage is a person who calls forth magical energy and uses the energy in diverse ways by chanting, Naruto continued to appear confused. Chamo gave a straightforward explanation. They can use the elements and say pre-words, and Naruto made a mouth, "Oh." "Alright," said Naruto. "Are we going to kill the girl?" Negi exclaimed in horror, "No, she is one of my students," before murmuring, "It's not like you could kill her because she's immortal anyhow." Naruto questioned incredulously, "You're a teacher? Aren't you a little young?" Asuna said, "Thank you," with gratitude that he comprehends, in contrast to the majority of her classmates. "And, what kind of immortal are we talking about here? The kind that can heal themselves or the kind that just doesn't die?" "The kind that can heal themselves," Chamo remarked, astonished at how well the boy was handling everything. With a savage smile that frightened the three of them, Naruto said, "Okay, let's go kick her ass," as he emerged from their hiding spot. Even though Asuna had only known Naruto for 2 minutes, she was certain that a serious expression couldn't appear on his face, so she was taken aback when his smile gradually disappeared. When she realized it made her think of Takahata Sensei's grave expression, she flushed. Evangeline became agitated and said, "Finally decided to show yourself? And, it looks like you picked up some more trash along the way. What boy, you think that just because you have more people that you can win?" Naruto yelled, "Shut it, Chibi. Chan, what you say doesn't matter," and Evangeline almost collapsed. That nickname wasn't all he used. With rage, Evangeline screamed, "Who are you calling Chibi? Chan, you brat. I'll have you know that I am over 700 years old. So, you can keep yelling like a kid ba. Chan, or are you going to fight?" Naruto asked in a taunt that shocked and astounded everyone. "That's it, Chachimaru. I don't care about Kagurazaka anymore. Kill that new boy and show him exactly why he should not insult me, Evangeline aka McDowell," said Evangeline. Chachimaru robotically said, "By your command," and then she ran in the boy's direction. Asuna began to yell, "Watch out, stupid Naruto. She's really stro," but Naruto had already rushed forward to greet her. Since she was aware of Chachimaru's exceptional skills, she anticipated Naruto cleaning his clock. She and the others were therefore taken aback when Naruto sidestepped her blow with a head tilt and delivered a forceful kick to the green-haired robot's abdomen. Chachimaru flew and skidded across the bridge's surface before she had a chance to process the impact. "Whoa," was all Asuna could say. "He's really strong," Chamo whispered to himself. "And, here I thought he was just being cocky." Evangeline thought sourly, "This guy, whoever the hell he is skilled. I am uncertain if I will be able to win before the end of time. Additionally, there is Kagurazaka Asuna. I assumed she was a typical brat because the elderly man allowed her to live with his granddaughter, but there is nothing typical about the way she broke my barrier, twice. Get ready, boy, because I'm going to be taking you seriously from now on," Evangeline smirked confidently. "Forget I'm your student, otherwise you'll die before I get to even have fun." Negi said, "All right," with seriousness. "I appreciate you helping me, Asuna.san, Chamo.kun, and even you, Naruto. I'm not going to lose this battle. Activate the contract for 90 seconds for the disciple of Negi, Kagurazaka Asuna." Evangeline exclaimed, "Lick-lack-lil-lack," as Chachimaru rushed forward at full speed, fully aware that she would be unable to contain the new boy. Together, Negi and Naruto yelled, "Ross telephone ma scir magister," as they attempted to stop Chachimaru. She delivered a nearly bone-crushing kick to Naruto's side faster than he anticipated, sending him flying while also flicking Asuna in the head. However, Chachimaru did not anticipate Asuna wiping her forehead or Naruto getting better without even displaying a hint of pain. 17 spirits of wind gather unto me. It shouldn't be too bad because it appears that Chachimaru is only seriously attacking Naruto. I apologize, but Naruto seems capable of handling it. You may get seriously hurt, and you have no idea why you are fighting." Chamo's eyes widened as Negi produced an extendable stick with a star on top. When Aniki was a young apprentice, he used that practice wand. It made Evangeline laugh with a laugh. Evangeline sneered, "What's that cute little toy going to do? Chew on this. Sagitta Magica Sirius Glacius." 17 ice shards flew in the boy's direction at her command, but he was ready. Negi yelled, "Sagitta Magica Sirius Fractarius," and 17 lightning arrows struck her spell. The two counterbalanced one another. However, Evangeline was not frightened by this. On the contrary, she found it amusing. With a mocking tone, Evangeline said, "Ha ha ha, to think you can even use thunder. But, your incantation is way too long," prior to using a brief incantation. She heard a voice from above say, "And, you talk too much," and looked up to see Naruto descending on her while holding a blue orb. Rasengan. She didn't want to know what it did, but she wasn't sure either. She quickly sidestepped the boy, and the orb hit the ground hard. There was a half-meter crater where Naruto stood, and everyone stopped when they felt the bridge itself tremble from the impact. Asuna yelled in shock, "What the hell was that?" When Evangeline said, "I must admit that I am stumped as well," her eyebrows went up. "From what I sensed, it was like you took Kanka and shaped it in the form of an orb. However, that should be impossible as Kanka is primary a strengthening technique." Naruto stated to her, "I have no idea what this Kanka thing is. What I use is chakra," while he produced an oddly shaped kunai. Instead of the typical one prong, it had 3. A kunai? So, is this boy a ninja? However, they employ ki rather than that chakra stuff, Evangeline thought perplexedly. Isn't chakra a mythological energy? Asuna and Chachimaru were staring across the bridge when Naruto threw the kunai directly at them. Blades had no effect on her unless they were strengthened by some kind of magic, so she easily blocked it. A voice behind her yelled, "Rasengan," and the next thing she knew, she was spinning in midair. She crashed directly into one of the towers and discovered that, whatever the technique was, she assumed it was called Rasengan. It momentarily brought down a number of her servers. She didn't understand how he had struck her with it, even though it was a very risky technique. In the same moment that she was observing this blonde man, Evangeline was equally taken aback when he attacked Chachimaru from behind. Not even instant movement moves that quickly. Who is this boy? Evangeline pondered uneasily. Wow, we've struck gold with this guy. Shamo felt a sense of relief. I'm so glad he isn't an enemy. What the fuck? He wasn't a mage, I thought, Asuna thought inconsolable. As Naruto ran towards Evangeline once more while making strange hand gestures, Negi thought in amazement, so strong. Naruto yelled at her, get this chibi-chan, I'll show you the true power of wind. And she stared in confusion. Wind? It is not a very strong element unless pieced together with another element. Its ability to blow barriers down or create barriers are useful when you want to use a piercing or burning element after all. Wind style. 1000 whirlwind needles. Evangeline barely had time to scream before the air around her suddenly tore her body to pieces. She was certain that this attack would have killed her if she hadn't been immortal. He's cutting me with the wind. This is the most amazing use of wind I've ever seen. When the assault on her body finally stopped, Evangeline's breathing became labored, while Evangeline yelled, why? You bastard! How dare you do this to me? I'm going to cut off your head and mount it on fireplace for this. Naruto showed no concern. He's heard the Kyuubi say the same thing before. After giving her a smile, he appeared next to Asuna using the body flicker jutsu. Before she heard chanting, she was perplexed. Ross telephone ma scir magister. Spirits of thunder, spirits of wind. Gather unto me, Negi said. Even after an attack like Naruto's, she is completely fine. To think that my dad beat her so easily is but I can beat her too. To Negi's surprise, Evangeline started chanting, damn it, lick lack lililak. Spirits of ice, spirits of darkness. Gather unto me, very quickly. Isn't that Aniki's strongest spell? Shamo thought shocked. Additionally, Evangeline is using the same kind of spell to match it. Oh, wind of the South Seas. Ye who blows clad in thunder, Negi went on. Evangeline went on with her invocation, oh, frozen clouds which light the night. Yes, whose blizzards are accompanied by darkness, bring it on boy. Asuna stood watching the battle between the mages when Naruto yelled at her, hey where are you looking? That green-haired chick is already coming for us. With a start, Asuna turned to see Chachimaru yank herself from the wall and stalk in their direction. While Asuna assumed a combat stance, Naruto stood there thinking and scratching his chin. Yo, green-haired girl. My name's Uzumaki Naruto, what's yours? Chachimaru said, Karakuri Chachimaru, and bowed. It's a pleasure to meet you Naruto-san. Naruto smiled and said, just call me Naruto, I don't like formalities. Maybe we can be friends after I kick your ass. At that, Asuna could only perspire, but she soon recovered her poise as Chachimaru charged ahead. As Naruto pulled out a standard kunai and got ready to stop the robot girl, she raised her arms in defense. At the same moment that Evangeline cried out, Nui tempestus obscuras. Negi exclaimed, Uus tempestus fragrans. In the direction of the bridge, Evangeline released a strong magical energy composed of ice and darkness, but it was equally matched by a magical energy composed of wind and lightning that shot upward from Negi. Evangeline let out a frustrated groan. If I could use all of my strength, I could win this easily. Oh, how foolish Nagi and his seal are. He's a magical tank, and Negi is stupid. Amazing. Negi exclaimed in amazement and annoyance. It's no good, No, she's overpowering. Not yet. I'm not going to flee once more. Negi screamed, ah, as his practice wand broke. I won't low. Achoo. I'll warn you now, poor girls are idiots who dare to stand in front of a sneezing Negi Springfield. He unintentionally releases an uncontrollable wind magic when he sneezes. For girls who dare to stand, it's worse because it leads to one terrible reality. Nudity. Asuna could tell you that his sneeze robs girls of their clothing, and Evangeline soon discovered this when his magic overpowered and ruined her clothing. With a hand covering her, almost non-existent, chest, she drifted over the river. You really done it now you little punk, Evangeline said, her face flushed. But, that's exactly what I'd expect from the son of that no-good lying bastard. Negi realized with embarrassment, her clothes came off. I'm sorry. Standing on Negi's shoulder with excitement, Shamo exclaimed, why? You did it Aniki. You overpowered Evangeline. I can't believe it. Guh. This isn't over boy, exclaimed Evangeline in complete humiliation. As soon as Chachimaru, Asuna, and Naruto saw Negi's attack surpass Evangeline's, they all stopped. When Naruto saw Evangeline floating nude, he made a faceplant. Red. Red-faced, Naruto yelled, "What the hell? Why the hell did that little brat strip her?" "That's just how these things turn out," Asuna remarked glumly. Chachimaru stated stoically, "Negi Sensei does have a tendency for stripping girls, but then her sensors detected something very significant. Master, you must come back to the bridge." Evangeline stumbled, "WH. What?" as a bright light beside her came on. "Master." Chachimaru promptly notified her, "The blackout is ending 5 minutes and 27 seconds earlier than expected." All of the lights in the entire space abruptly came back on. The seal immediately reactivated for Evangeline. Evangeline screamed in agony, "Kya," as she felt her collected strength taken away. As Asuna and Naruto watched Evangeline fall, they both yelled, "What's going on?" Chachimaru hurriedly remarked, "Once the blackout is over, the seal on Master's power is restored," as she accelerated forward and charged her boosters. "Without magic, Master is an ordinary child. She's going to fall in the lake and she can't swim." Chachimaru was shocked when Negi yelled, "Evangeline San," as he leapt off the bridge. "That fool." When she watched Negi leap toward her, Evangeline thought, "He's already used up all of his magic from that earlier clash. What the devil is he thinking? He doesn't even have his staff. At this rate, we will both drown to death." "Negi!" Asuna yelled over the edge, and Naruto grinned broadly. "I see," Naruto thought, "that's the way it is. Workers." Negi gave the order. Now that she thinks about it, this is exactly what that fool did, Evangeline thought. That child was dangerous. In order to keep them from falling off the cliff, a red-haired man in a white cloak said this while holding Evangeline in his right hand and a rope in his left. "Who are you?" Sitting in a fetal position by the campfire, Evangeline asked suspiciously, "Why did you save me?" "Who knows? But it's so delicious that you should eat it up." The red-haired man gave her a smoked fish, which she could only eat in silence out of embarrassment. "Hi there. Do you not wish to be mine?" With her tiny doll beside her, Evangeline asked the man a question. The man with the red hair said, "Come on kid, don't go there," as he perspired nervously. "A month has gone by already." The man looked at Evangeline, who was following him closely, and said in frustration, "You know, even if you follow me, nothing will happen. Leave now." Evangeline obstinately stated, "I don't wanna," but she would follow you until you said yes. As she lay sorrowfully in the garlic-filled pit, Evangeline glanced up at the red-haired man. "No. Why? Nagi, I adore you. What are you able to do to me? Infernus Shosticus." Nagi chanted as Evangeline screamed in pain. Standing uncomfortably in a red jacket with a ribbon, matching short skirt, and black long socks, Evangeline flushed bright red. "Ah ha 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 ha. It fits you perfectly." Evangeline laughed heartily. "The Gospel of Darkness and the Undying Mage, or PFT. "You're right," said an elderly man with a long beard, big eyebrows, and a large, pointed horizontal cranium. Amusedly, she doesn't look at all like a wanted criminal with a 6 million yen bounty on her head. "I will murder you. When I'm done with you, there won't even be a body left," Evangeline declared vengefully. "Ah, stop acting like that chibi-chan. You know, school is enjoyable." With confidence, Nagi remarked, "You've never had that experience before?" The elderly man rubbed his beard and remarked, "Well, it would be unfortunate to enroll you in primary school. Should I enroll you in middle school?" Nagi petted Evangeline's head lovingly and said, "Don't worry, Chibi-chan. I'll be back for your graduation. Why don't you try living in the light for a while? The time will come for your curse to end if you do." "Really? Feeling like the child she appears to be?" Evangeline asked. "I promise." As she was about to plunge into the river, Evangeline thought, "Liar." That is, until she felt a pair of arms grab her bridal style. Naruto remarked, "Damn good thing I tagged you earlier. Yo, the name is Naruto Uzumaki." Evangeline was left speechless. The man's smile was exactly like that bastard's. Naruto. When she turned around and saw nothing, Asuna cried out in surprise, "How did he do that?" Negi turned to avoid colliding with the two and slowed down, letting out a sigh of relief. "Thank goodness." Naruto.san, spoke Chachimaru with joy. Why did you come to my aid?" Since Negi was her teacher, she could at least understand his desire to save her, so Evangeline asked in confusion. Naruto shrugged and said, "Seemed like a good idea." "Idiot. Well, it appears that I have won. So, you have to stop doing bad things from now and start attending class." Negi exclaimed as he flew up to meet Naruto, who had somehow appeared on the bridge with Evangeline. "I will, like the devil." Evangeline protested. "I don't really know what's going on," Naruto said. "But, you should do what your teacher says." All right, pouted Evangeline, I owe you one anyway. Excellent. Naruto joyfully clapped his hands and exclaimed, but would you mind telling me why everyone was fighting? When they realized that he had sort of decided to join a battle based on the word of a perverted ermine, everyone's perspiration dropped. Idiot, said Evangeline once more. Negi said cheerfully, I'll just take you to the headmaster to work this out. Where did you come from anyway? Yeah, about that, Naruto rubbed the back of his neck uneasily before continuing. So you're a ninja from another dimension that Shinigami Sama sent here to express gratitude? With a humorous tone, an elderly man named Kanoman inquired. Old man, you got it, as Asuna, Negi, and Evangeline perspired in the background. Naruto exclaimed, they had taken me straight to the principal the moment I told them the same thing, but it was in the hopes that he could get his head examined. And what did you do that made your world so wonderful? Kanoman inquired. Well, for the most part it was from saving my world from giant world-destroying monsters, a madman who could bring the dead back to life, another madman who tried to put the entire world under his subjugation with an eternal illusion and giving him a chance to get rid of a clan that bastardized something important to him, Naruto said with a sarcastic tone. He's a hero like my father. Negi looked at Naruto with wide eyes. He's just like that idiot Nagi. His stupid smile is even similar, Evangeline thought, in a less than cheerful mood. However, I like to think that my efforts to bring together a number of survivors from the 5 great shinobi villages 2 weeks ago helped build the last shinobi village. As Naruto proudly remarked, hell, I was even given the title of Daikage the day I went after the last enemy of the villages. Admittedly, I was supposed to die that day and was promptly replaced by a girl named Samui. You were dubbed the Shadow of God. That's some title you got there, Evangeline said, whistling in gratitude. Yup, but I prefer to go by Hokage, Naruto replied happily. I did earn the title a month before my village was destroyed in an attack and it means a lot more to me. But you don't know what to do now that you're here, do you? After all, you are a blank slate in this world, Kanoman inquired. That's right, and I'm not sure where my skills can be used in this world. There aren't many places your skills would be of use in this world, Kanoman said with regret. But, if you did all of the things you claimed, then I want to have you stay here. Anyway, where is this place? Trapped, Naruto said. I didn't exactly get directions. Oh my goodness, you weren't told? Alright, Naruto-kun, let me welcome you to Mahora Academy, Kanoman said haughtily, adding that it is among the top educational institutions in the world. School? Are all of you still in school? Inquired Naruto. What? You come from a school, don't you? Asuna inquired. We have the Ninja Academy, which teaches us the basics of taijutsu, genjutsu, ninjutsu and chakra manipulation, Naruto said. It's up to our parents to teach us basic math and reading. That's why I never learned until I met Ero Sennin, since I'm an orphan. So, I could enroll you into the all-boys high school, Kanoman said thoughtfully. You are 17, correct? Negi said, casting a sorrowful glance at Naruto. Yes, but I'm not going to be a student. Making a X with his arms, Naruto remarked, that's too damn boring. Well, that's no good since I need a reason to keep you on campus, but I don't think you have the qualifications to be a teacher, Kanoman told the dejected boy. That's because he's an idiot, cynically said Evangeline. Hey, I'm not a fool, Naruto responded with a furious shout. Naruto.ni, did you understand that? With a tone of surprise, Negi asked. What? Naruto inquired. Oh, yes, she was using English, correct? Negi replied, that's right, in English. Yeah, well, you see, about 10 months ago, all of the shinobi villages were hit really hard in an attack, so the village leaders decided to have some representatives go across the sea and ask for some help, Naruto explained, adding, we needed some reinforcements and supplies for building. The issue was that everyone my party visited on the mainland spoke English. Fortunately, my teacher Kakashi Sensei was able to teach me the language because he had to complete a similar task once during the Third Great Shinobi War. Because I had a method to accelerate my learning and Kakashi Sensei's rather harsh teaching style, I was able to master it in a few weeks. It was my first diplomatic mission, and it ended in failure. Of course, it was actually a trick to get me and Killer Bee away from Madara since the island turtle didn't go so well. Unfortunately, that didn't work because Madara was able to get a zombie Hanzo and Kakuzu over to us and capture Killer Bee. In addition, the English king, Arthur, didn't take well to the attack and blamed us for the small invasion. Suggestion headmaster, Negi said, pulling Naruto out of his reverie, why doesn't Naruto.ni become my assistant teacher since he doesn't want to be a student? In any case, I need the assistance. Great idea, Negi.kun, Kanoman said, smiling slyly so that no one could see him. But you have to teach the boy all the other subjects yourself because I can't have my teachers just be experts in one subject. If you don't get him up to high school level by the summer, Naruto.kun will have to either enroll as a student or vacate the campus. I'll let Naruto.kun become a permanent teacher instead of an assistant if he can achieve college level proficiency by the end of the year. Old man, is that a challenge? Naruto smiled as he asked. Konoman waved dismissively. Sure, he said. Excellent, I'll go above and beyond. I'll be prepared before you know it, Naruto said, pumping his arm in the air. Asuna almost yelled, why can't we get any adults to teach the class? But was reassured that Naruto was older than her and at least close to adulthood. Good luck with that. Konoman laughed. I've made a decision regarding your living arrangements. Karakuri Chachimaru and Evangeline A.K. McDowell will be your roommates. What? Incredulous shouts came from everyone in the room. I will live with this idiot, for heaven's sake. I refuse, Evangeline yelled angrily. Konoman said sharply, too bad, this is your punishment for attacking both your teacher and your classmates. All right, complained Evangeline, but I can't live with someone who's dressed so outdated. Agreed, said Konoman at once. What's the matter with my attire? First of all, they are outdated, Konoman clarified, adding that teachers are supposed to dress in brown, white, tan, or black suits while on the clock. I will lend you some money, which I anticipate you will repay eventually, but I'm afraid you don't currently have enough to do so. I have a way to earn money, Naruto grumbled. I don't really want to release these things to the world, but I can't deny the sheer popularity they would gain. What on earth are you discussing? Angrily, Asuna inquired. These are books written by my godfather and re-edited by me per his will's instructions, Naruto said simply as he took out a scroll and poured chakra into one of the seals, revealing 10 books with the common title Icha Icha. Why are a few books so problematic? Asuna asked, perplexed. Naruto said, take a look for yourself Asuna-chan, and she did. Although the honorific made her flush red, a second later, her blush intensified tenfold, attracting Evangeline's attention. What on earth is this nonsense? This surpasses even Peru's possessions, Asuna shouted, flushed with rage. These are brilliant. Evangeline drooled. Your godfather was quite brilliant. As Konoman read one of the books gratefully, he nodded and said, see what I mean? Just make sure no one under 18 gets one and print the authors as Uzumaki Naruto and Gama Jiraiya. Alright. Konoman gave a nod. Now you'll start teaching tomorrow, but you'll be excused for your clothes until you can leave to go shopping. Don't you think, old man, that's kind of quick? Naruto raised an eyebrow in question. The plot needs to advance. Why wait, really? Konoman cleared his throat. Sneering, Evangeline said, right, come this way idiot, as they left the office. Chibi-chan, you have no right to call me a fool. As he stared in wonder at the technology all around him, feeling intimidated by it all, Naruto said in a mocking tone of hurt. Don't refer to me as Chibi-chan. Evangeline fumed as she dived at Naruto in anger only to be caught like a football. Let me go. Only if you let me call you Chibi-chan, Naruto said, grinning foxy. Never. Then enjoy the armpit ride, said Naruto. And, should I mention that I haven't had a shower in the last 3 days since I was doing nothing but fighting? Ew. Give me a break. You can call me whatever the hell you want, just let me go, Evangeline exclaimed as the stench hit her. Naruto added malevolently, even in private company, you also have to call me Naruto-sama. You're a bad person. You'd know. Evangeline did her best, but his hold was too tight, and she didn't care. Nothing could convince her to call him that, and she was taken aback when she was briefly dangled over his shoulder before being put back in her original position. Nevertheless, there were 2 significant differences. He had buried her face in his armpit, to start. Secondly, he had removed his shirt and jacket, and, you know I have no idea where I'm going so we could be wandering around for hours. She undoubtedly caught a full, unfiltered whiff of his foul, smelling armpit. Alright, Naruto-sama, Evangeline let out a cry. After I let you down, how can I be sure you'll keep your word? As a vampire and a mage, I swear that I will always refer to you as Naruto-sama from now on. As soon as she could, she pushed him in the stomach, causing Naruto to double over in agony. She screamed in frustration and desperation, and was relieved to feel her feet on the ground. To Evangeline's annoyance, Naruto wheezed, I'll still hold you on that promise. This bastard is worse than Nagi, Al, and Rakan combined. The pair found themselves in front of a cozy little cabin 20 minutes later. Naruto-sama, Evangeline said sharply, You're going to take a shower as soon as you get settled in, don't you get it? Naruto shrugged and said, sure. I've wanted to take one for hours anyway. Good evening, Naruto, Chachimaru said, bowing. Welcome home, master. Hey. Naruto said hello. Could you tell me the purpose of this visit? Chachimaru inquired courteously. Naruto. Sama is going to live with us from now, Evangeline said. So, clear up the extra bedroom while he takes a shower. Though shocked, Chachimaru said, yes, master. Naruto. Sama. Before she stalked off to bed, Evangeline practically threw Naruto in the shower. Naruto was thrilled with his new world and had already made new friends. He may not know how to use most of the things here, but at least he was free of all the unpleasant memories. Sakura coughed out, N. Naruto, I'm not going to make it. Sakura. Chan, don't say that. You must make it, exclaimed Naruto. Only 3 months have passed since we started dating. Sakura whispered, I'm sorry, N. Naruto. I wish I hadn't wasted so much time. Sakura. Chan, stop talking like that, Naruto begged. N. Naruto, listen. No, avoid talking about Sakura. Chan. Naruto cut in, unwilling to listen. Pay attention. Don't make me your last, Sakura begged, barely able to speak above a whisper. B. But Sakura.ch. No, before she passed out, Sakura said, Naruto, find someone out there who can love you forever. Naruto said, I will Sakura. Chan, as he got ready to head to where Sasuke was looking, I promise. After all, it had only been 3 days, so even though he vowed to keep his word, it would be a while before he could move on. An hour after Naruto finished his shower, Chachimaru escorted the weary Naruto to his room. Naruto let out a weary, thanks Chan, before his head even touched the bed. Negi grinned and scratched the back of his head. Thanks for helping me out yesterday, he said. I didn't really do much, Asuna said. It was Naruto that did everything, still I helped out a bit so you buy me a coffee sensei. The whisper, Aniki, I'll have an espresso, came from Chamo. Negi stammered, oh, okay, and gave his friends their coffee. Chamo began to say, that's right Aniki, about how we used the provisional contract last night, but was cut off when they noticed Evangeline was going to take a seat at the same table as them. Negi stumbled nervously, Hello Evangeline.san, Is Naruto.ni not with you? They were told harshly by Evangeline, like I would spend time with him, and, don't think I have any intention of getting along with you either. As Evangeline sipped her coffee, Chachimaru said, Hello Negi. Sensei, Asuna.san. Naruto was still asleep when we left, Chachimaru said. Asuna laughed. Evangeline, I am fully aware of it, you had feelings for Negi's father. Evangeline immediately performed what many celebrities would refer to as a spit take. Asuna.san. Negi gave a nervous yelp. Why you jerk? My dream was seen by you. Asuna was so shocked that she was unable to respond appropriately to save Negi as Evangeline screamed angrily and continued to strangle him. Naruto said, so, that's how it is Chibi. Chan, as he suddenly materialized and placed a hand on her head. N. Naruto. Sama. Evangeline had not even sensed him, so she jumped in shock. Naruto. Sama? Asuna, Chamo, and Negi all thought at once, their expressions disbelieving. Oh, so you've fallen for Naruto? With slyness, Asuna asked. Really? With a phony smile, Naruto said, I'm so flattered Chibi, Chan. As Evangeline yelled, like hell I am, Chachimaru thought, his smile seems really strained. But, you called him Naruto. Sama, Chamo remarked. Just because he wouldn't let me leave his foul, smelling underarm. That level of stench shouldn't even be legal, Evangeline complained. You made her call you Naruto. Sama by threatening her with your armpit, Chamo said, laughing. Asuna chuckled as Naruto clarified, yeah, she swore that she would even in private company. She also has to let me call her Chibi, Chan. I thought you were a good guy, Asuna said in jest, but you're wicked as hell. So, are you really in love with Negi's dad? Naruto asked gravely after he had just laughed. With tears in her eyes, Evangeline uttered, it doesn't matter, he's already dead anyway, it was 10 years ago. Isn't it difficult? Losing someone you love, I can't even imagine what it must feel like for those feelings to still be there after so many years, Naruto said with such empathy that Evangeline blushed. Yeah, and, he promised to lift my curse one day too, Evangeline explained sorrowfully, well, I can't blame him if he's dead, but the spell he used was very powerful. I have essentially been stuck here with this dull school life for the past 10 or so years because no one else has the magical strength to do it. So, the school has sealed you in? Naruto inquired. Oh, you're right, you're unaware. Are you Naruto.ni? Negi inquired. My father, the Thousand Master Nagi Springfield, sealed Evangeline.san to the school and suppressed her powers completely. What was his motivation? Naruto inquired. Because Evangeline aka McDowell is an evil mage who had killed several hundreds of people, Shamo said. He wanted me to experience school life, Evangeline whispered, because he thought I would like it and he wanted me to be away from him. The idiot, all I wanted was to be with him. To Evangeline's consternation, Naruto remarked, you know I might be able to do something about the seal, adding, I'm a seal master back in my world, but I'll have to learn more about the seal first. Additionally, there is the question of whether it is acceptable to release you into the world. He showed quite a bit of power yesterday after all, so if Naruto Sama, damn, I'm even thinking of calling him that now, can actually figure out Nagi's stupid seal, he might be able to let me out. In addition, Evangeline.san, I've met my dad. Abruptly, Negi informed her, I've met the Thousand Master. What were you saying? Stupid Nagi died 10 years ago, everyone knows that. Evangeline asked in shock. Have you gone to speak to his grave? No, although I met my father 6 years ago, everyone claims he passed away before I was born. I'm positive. And that's when he gave me this staff, Negi recalled, recalling a good-hearted man with a white cloak that completely concealed his face. I know my dad is still alive somewhere because of this. I want to find him, so I'm going to become a magister magi like him. Evangeline stammered, it can't be, Nagi's still alive. So, you're trying to find your father? Quietly, Naruto inquired. Yes. Count me in, then, really? Like that? Asuna questioned incredulously. You're correct. So that I can slam that guy's head in, I'll assist Negi. Everyone's faces faltered as Naruto pumped his hand into the air and cheered. Naruto.ni, why would you do that? While Evangeline was grinning at the idea, Negi asked in a terrified tone. Naruto angrily remarked, that bastard is alive and could even raise you, but he ran off for who knows what reason, while my own parents would kill to have this opportunity. Then to betray his pledge to remove Chibi-chan's seal. I'm sick of guys like that. I guess I misjudged you a little, Naruto. Sama, said Evangeline. It seems you're a much more reliable kind of guy. Naruto petted her head and said, thanks a lot, Chibi-chan. Unfortunately, aside from Negi's staff, we don't have many clues. Yeah, Negi mumbled pitifully. Kyoto, Evangeline said abruptly, smiling naturally, you might find a clue of where he went off to there, because he had a house there for a while. Asuna remarked, she seems happy, to Chachimaru. Indeed. Kyoto. Where was the well-known Japanese city once more? But, since I had to pay for all of those new uniforms, I don't have any time off or the money needed to travel, Negi muttered. Kyoto? That sounds good, doesn't it? Asuna asked joyfully. Yes, Chachimaru concurred as Negi's arm began to ache. Evangeline.san, please don't bite me. Negi let out a terrified cry. Evangeline gave a cunning reply, just think of it as payment for the information, but she winced when she felt a bonk hit her head. Naruto reprimanded her, saying, bitching someone without their consent is not courteous. As Evangeline complained, whatever you say, Naruto. Sama, come Chachimaru. Chachimaru said stoically, yes master, and the two left. I'll see you in class, Negi, Naruto replied. I need to unpack my stuff. Naruto.ni. Wait, Negi yelled as a realization dawned on him. Yes, Negi? Naruto asked, abruptly pausing. I forgot to tell you something extremely important, Negi replied. The existence of magic is hidden from the world. Really? Why? It's so we can prevent having wars over it? Considering all of the conflicts his world has experienced due to the widespread knowledge of ninjas, Naruto muttered, makes sense to me. Okay, I won't tell anyone. Everybody, Class 3. It will travel to Kyoto and Nara for a field trip the following week. With excitement, Negi declared to his class, is everyone ready? Yes. The class gave a cheerful cheer. Idiots, muttered Asu, a girl with long purple hair, 2 braids tied in the back, and a huge cowlick stuck on top. They're all acting like elementary school kids, thought Hasegawa Chisame, a girl with glasses and short red-brown hair tied back with a red ribbon. There are a lot of people at our school, so the destination is always chosen from a list of places like Hawaii. A girl with brown eyes and long blonde hair named Yukihiro Ayaka explained. since there are so many international students in our class, and Negi Sensei himself is in Japan for the first time, the consensus was for a cultural trip to Kyoto and Nara. Ainsho.san. Thank you very much. Negi took her hand in appreciation and said, Kyoto sounds fantastic, with tears in her eyes. Ayaka said, love struck. Era, I didn't think you'd be this happy, Negi Sensei. After everyone had calmed down, Negi said, I have more news. We're also getting an assistant teacher today. The class yelled in surprise. Negi said, that's right, and you can come in now. The class waited anxiously, and waited, and waited, and waited. Negi looked expectantly at the door, but nobody entered. Naruto.ni. Looking down the hall, Negi asked himself, where is that moron? 5 minutes later, Asuna asked herself in exasperation. That's it. This new guy is getting payback for being late, exclaimed Narutaki Fuka, a girl with red, orange hair styled in long pigtails who appeared to be no older than 10. She ran to the classroom board, picked up an eraser, and then, standing on the shoulders of a girl named Narutaki Fumika, who was exactly like her except for the fact that her pigtails were held in bun covers, placed the eraser at the top of the door. Asuna heard someone come to the door and thought, like that would on Naruto. The person outside the door said, I apologize for being late, but I had to take the long route because a black cat crossed my path. As they waited to see if the new assistant teacher would fall for the prank, the class thought, what the hell kind of excuse is that? Asuna and Negi were shocked when the eraser landed directly on his head. The entire class laughed with delight, and the Narutaki twins gave each other a high five in congratulations. Reaching down, Naruto grabbed the eraser and said, how can I say this? My first impression is, Naruto remarked with a humorous smile. His smile was so kind that the class waited, confident they would like the response. That I hate you guys, Naruto said, his smile turning cold. Wah, the class thought, startled. They were all afraid when they saw that smile. Ha 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 ha. Look at the expressions on your faces, I apologize. I just couldn't help saying that since the same thing happened with my sensei, Naruto said with a jovial laugh. The Narutaki twins sulked at their prank being turned against them, but the class sighed with relief that he was only kidding. All right, now, why don't you all get up and tell me a little about yourselves? I'll even start, Naruto said before the class could rush at him, not that they were going to because most of them were in awe of his good looks and his prank. Just the usual likes, dislikes, hobbies, and dreams of the future. You can call me Uzumaki. Naruto. Ramen, family, and friendship are things I enjoy. Traitors, snakes, and having to wait 3 minutes for the ramen to cook are things I dislike. My interests include gardening, pranks, and training, and I suppose my goal for the future is to start a family of my own someday. You're a single person? Ayaka inquired in surprise. Naruto smiled stiffly and said, nope, both of my parents died in an accident the day I was born. Okay, then, why don't you go next? According to Ayaka's formal statement, my name is Yukihiro Ayaka, and I am seat number 20. 9 in the Ainsho of class 3. I enjoy horses, flowers, and Negi Sensei, but I don't like violent people. Baking, karate, and horseback riding are some of my pastimes. I'm not sure what my future holds. When Naruto saw Ayaka staring at Negi with lustful eyes, he thought, she's a damn Shota.con, and chose to move on to a girl with short pink hair tied in pigtails. Why don't you go next, Pinky? I'm Sasaki Maki, and I'm seat number 16, she said, giving the moniker a playful glare. It was good to meet you, Sensei. I enjoy gymnastics and Negi Sensei, but I detest slimy things and studying. Gymnastics and other enjoyable activities are my pastimes. My long-term goal is to become Japan's top gymnast. It's nice to meet you too, Maki-chan, she seems like fun. Now if only I knew what gymnastics in Japan were. Naruto thought. I completely understand your dislike of studying. Could an educator say that? Shisame whispered. Naruto said, yes, I can, much to her surprise. Why don't you go next? Chisame thought sarcastically, just a great teacher with super hearing. My name is Hasegawa Chisame, and I'm seat number 20. 5. I don't feel like sharing my hobbies with you, and I won't tell you what I like and don't like. I will not respond, so don't bother asking again. It's none of your damn business what I envision for the future. With a drop of perspiration, Naruto thought, it's like a ruder Kakashi. Sensei, I didn't learn anything but her name and seat number. You next, ponytail. A brown-eyed girl with a big side ponytail on the right side of her head was indicated by Naruto. Hey, Akashi Yuna is my name. and I'm seated number 2. I like guns and my dad. I don't like people with sloppy lifestyles, shirts hanging out, and poor clothing. Playing basketball is one of my pastimes. Becoming the best basketball player of all time and getting married to my father are my future goals. As a girl with light brown eyes and short silver hair yelled, "You can't do that, Yuna." Naruto thought, oh god, a girl with a daddy complex, and what the hell is basketball? It isn't even lawful. All right. Everyone moaned as Yuna asked in a perplexed tone. How about going next? Naruto pointed to the girl with the silver hair and asked. Hello, I'm Akumi Izo. I mean Izumi Ako, seat number 5 and the Circa class's H health officer. Ako stammered out, blushing so badly that she was able to compete with Hinata. I like football and I dislike, no more like fear, blood. My hobbies include playing bass guitar, playing football, and working part-time in the nurse's office. My goal for the future is to become a doctor after conquering my fear of blood. Looking around, Naruto said, I hope I can help her. He then gestured to the next girl, saying, you next. My name is Ace Yu, and I'm seated number 4, Yu stated apathetically. I enjoy reading, but I detest studying. Writing and exploring Library Island are two of my interests. I have no aspirations for the future. Before pointing to the girl next to her, Naruto mused sadly, this girl reminds me of Shikamaru. She had long black hair with an odd cowlick, like antenna and small rectangular glasses that only partially covered her brown eyes. Up and at him girly. Hi there, you can call me Peru, but my name is Saotome Haruna. I'm in seat 14. In a sensual voice that made Naruto shudder, Haruna declared, I like manga, porn, and you. I don't like it when guys play hard to get and end things before they've gone all the way. In addition, I detest deadlines, reptiles, and bugs. My interests include exploring Library Island, studying the people around me, and creating sexy manga drawings of them. My long-term goal is to create the best hentai manga and earn millions of dollars. As the class shuddered at Peru's ambition, Naruto thought in terror, holy shit, Arrow. Sennin was reborn a girl. He then proceeded to a girl with red hair styled in a very tomboy fashion. Next. I'm Kasuga Masora, and I'm seated in seat 9. I enjoy running, and I don't like to get involved in things that don't affect me. Running is one of my pastimes, and I hope to participate in an Olympic running competition in the future. When Naruto turned to face a dark-skinned girl who appeared even older than he was, he thought, at least she seems normal. She had chocolate brown hair with 2 strands held up halfway down by ribbons. Are you really young enough to be in this class? She doesn't look that old, damn it. Yes. The girl glared. My name is Tatsumi Amana, and I'm seat number 18. People always think she's older than she is. Unless you're prepared to pay my price, I won't give you any more information. Naruto turned to a slightly plump girl with brown hair tied in pigtails and said, your turn. She's a mercenary, isn't she? They always pull the same damn attitude with me, he thought, shaking his head. Hi, I'm Yatsuba Satsuki, and I'm seated in seat 30. Satsuki bowed. It's a pleasure to meet you, Naruto. Sensei, and Naruto reciprocated. I enjoy cooking, and I don't like people who try to start fights at my restaurant, the Chao Bao Zi. My interests include working at the Chao Bao Zi, cooking, and developing new recipes. Opening a chain of restaurants all over the world is my future goal. Naruto remarked pleasantly, I'll have to eat there sometime then, Satsuki-chan. She's like a non-ninja choji. You're my next victim of a short prank. Hello. I'm seat number 20.2, and my name is Narutaki Fuka. The older twin is me. I enjoy pranks and nothing else. My dislikes are boring stuff, people confusing me with Fumika, and people calling me a primary schooler, Fuka said, quickly realizing she had almost said too much. My interests include playing practical jokes, wandering around the school, and camping in the mountains with Fumika and Kaide.ne. I have a secret for my future. Naruto thought suspiciously, why do I feel like she's hiding something? You next clone. My name is Narutaki Fumika, and I'm seat number 23, Fumika said, glaring at her new sensei. The younger twin is me. I enjoy decorating and hanging out with Kaide.ne and Oni-chan. I don't like people who think I'm a primary school student, who mess up my decorations, or who mistake me for Oni-chan. My interests include camping with Oni-chan and Kaide.ne, decorating places, and doing things with Oni-chan. My long-term goal is to work as an interior decorator. Naruto reflected wisely, these two are obviously close, but still have a lot of differences. I'll try not to mix them up, as a girl with short orangish hair wearing pigtails and 2 tiny braids at the bottom yelled. I had no idea you enjoyed decorating Fumika. Chan, could you clean our dorm? Yes. Fumika let out a happy cry. Excellent. The girl smiled broadly and said, oh, and I'll go next. My name is Sakurako Shina, and I'm seat number 17. I enjoy cheerleading, lacrosse, karaoke, and my pets, Cookie and Biscuit. I don't like being startled by black furry objects in areas like the kitchen. I enjoy playing lacrosse, cheering, karaoke, lead singing in my band, and gambling because I always win. Being the lead vocalist for the best girl band in the world is my future goal. With a chuckle, Naruto turned to a girl with long purple hair and said, tell me about yourself. This is where all of Tsunade.ba. Chan's luck went too. Heya. Kakazaki Misa is the name, and I'm seated number 7, prunes, shopping, chorus singing, cheerleading, karaoke, and my boyfriend. Despite the fact that we are not very serious. Are all things I enjoy, carbonated drinks are something I absolutely hate. Yuck. Shopping, karaoke, chorus singing, going on dates, and playing guitar in my band are some of my pastimes. My long-term goal is to become a well-known idol in both modeling and my band. Naruto thought, now we've got a non-ninja Ino, thank God Ino was a ninja. With a shiver, he recalled how much of that stuff Ino did while he was a ninja and how, as a result, he ended up being stalked by some weird fan club she created for money. Deciding that the best way to get rid of such thoughts was to carry on, he turned to face a girl with light red hair tied up in a design that reminded him of his own hair. She had been using some weird device that kept clicking at him. Why don't you go? Of course, Naruto. Sensei. I am Asakura Kazumi, the best reporter at the school. Despite having the third largest chest in the class, I sit in seat number 3. I like hot scoops, stories about warm and fuzzy feelings, and cameras, Kazumi said enthusiastically, causing Naruto to flush at the unexpected revelation. I detest interesting stories and false leads. Finding a story that will establish me as the greatest reporter in history is my goal for the future. No, my ambition. Confused by his intuition, Naruto thought, I feel like I shouldn't tell her a lot about myself. By the way, Naruto. Sensei, do you have a girlfriend? Naruto's mood dropped more quickly than an elephant plunging off a cliff, shocking the girls. Not anymore, she died 3 days ago. I sincerely apologize, Kazumi immediately apologized. The class fell into a hush of depression, and those who were considering approaching him decided to wait for a while. Naruto, who detests awkward silences, coughed and motioned for a short, red-haired girl with lots of freckles to introduce herself. My name is Murakami Natsumi, and I'm seat number 28, Natsumi said tremblingly. I enjoy the theater and the atmosphere you get right before you take the stage for the dramatic opening. People who try to improvise during a play bother me. Playing in school plays is one of my hobbies. Becoming a well-known actress is my dream. An actress? I hope she behaves more appropriately than that foolish princess. Recalling his mission in the land of snow and how enraged that princess was throughout the entire ordeal, Naruto thought. He turned to a blonde girl with pigtails secured with what appeared to be black odangos and a slightly tanned complexion. Your turn. Ku-fei excitedly introduced himself to him. I'm Ku-fei. I'm seat number 12 and I came from China. Naruto didn't even bother to inquire about what China was. I like Nikaman and strong men. I dislike wimpy guys, studying, new food and new swords. Traditional is the way to go. My hobbies are training in martial arts and working at the Chaobaozi. My dream for the future is to become the strongest martial artist in the world and then open a dojo to train future generation of fighters. At least she's not talking about youth or wearing spandex, Naruto thought. He tried to figure out which girl he hadn't yet called on by looking around. When he thought he saw Hinata, he jumped a little, but it was just a girl with short dark blue hair that almost completely obscured her face. How about going next? I like B. Books and O. Organizing them, Nodoka said nervously. My name is M. Miyazaki N. Nodoka and I'm seat N. Number 20. S. 7. Negi was the only man to date to make her feel comfortable around men. It bothers me when people destroy books. My hobby is reading, and my career goal is to work as the librarian at Library Island. As he turned to a girl with long brown hair, Naruto thought, she's like Hinata all over again, but by the way she keeps staring at Negi tells me she already has a crush. She smiled and pointed to herself, and he nodded. Greetings, Naruto. Sensei. My name is Kanoka, and I'm occupying seat 13. I enjoy cooking, fortune-telling, and CG that appears to be real magic. Naruto saw Asuna and Negi perspire guiltily at that. I don't know. I don't like. Kanoka started tapping her chin thoughtfully. I enjoy cooking, exploring Library Island, and telling fortunes. I want to be the best housewife in the world. Naruto thought painfully, she seems nice. She reminds me a little of how Sakura-chan acted when she wasn't mad at me. All of a sudden, he felt a killer intent directed at him, and he turned to see a girl to his left with black hair and a long side ponytail. Her bangs only covered half of her forehead, and she was glaring at him angrily at the moment. You can go next, Naruto said, dismissing her killer intent, much to the girl's evident surprise. My name is Sakurazaki Setsuna, and I'm seat number 15, Setsuna said in a monotone, adding, I don't want to tell you anything else. Naruto thought, what happened to her? He was concerned about monotone people because he knew that Sasuke, Gaara, and Sai were all seriously dysfunctional. He pushed the thought aside when he noticed a girl wearing big round glasses, with her dark brown hair pulled back to reveal her entire forehead and styled in 2 braids at the back. Why don't you go? My name is Hakase Satomi, and I'm seat number 24, Satomi blurted out, bored. I enjoy building mechanical devices and robots. I don't like people who undermine my efforts. Learning everything I can about robotics and building them is one of my hobbies. Developing the best artificial intelligence system is my goal. Nervously, Naruto thought, I really have no idea what she just said, and he turned to face the girl sitting next to Satomi. She had brown hair and wore caps with buns like Fumika, but her pigtails were braided and protruded from them. Hello, I'm Chao Lingshan, and I'm seated in seat 19. Isn't it good to meet you? I like everything because I'm a genius, Chao exclaimed. My pastimes are my life. You see, I'm a jack of all trades. My future aspiration is a secret. Naruto tried extremely hard not to look at her large chest, but he turned to see a girl with long brownish hair laughing at his bewildered expression. Well, she seemed nice. Would you like to go next? Naruto inquired in embarrassment. Alright. I'm Naba Chizuru, and I'm seated in number 20.1. I enjoy being around people, kids, celebrities, and helping others. I don't like long-distance relationships and being by myself. My interests include working at the daycare center and observing the stars. As Chizuru smiled kindly, Naruto almost started crying. My dream for the future is to open up an orphanage and help all of the children I can. Naruto thought bitterly and with sadness, why wasn't there someone like her back in Konoha? Chizuru smiled pitifully at him, mentioning that he had been an orphan earlier and that she was sorry she couldn't have helped him. Unable to look her in the eye, he turned his head away and looked at a girl with short purple hair that was almost boyish. Since he was having trouble finding his voice right now, he gestured for her to introduce herself. My seat number is 11, and my name is Kujimaya Madoka. I'm glad to have met you, sensei. I enjoy cheerleading, playing the drums, western music, silver accessories, and Matsuya beef bowl. One don't like flirtatious men. They're repulsive. Playing drums with my band and cheering are my pastimes. My long-term goal is to play as a lead drummer in a girls' band. Turning to face another girl who appeared too old to be in this class, Naruto thought, she seems more of the down-to-earth kind of girl. She was very tall, had pale green hair that was tightly bound in the back, and appeared to be watching him with extremely squinted eyes in amusement. You can go next, as I'll assume you are in the right class and not some higher grade. My name is Nagase Kaide, and I'm seat number 20 de Gazaru, the girl pouted in frustration. Yes, Naruto. Sensei, I am 15 years old. I enjoy camping in the Gazaru Mountains, eating pudding, and unwinding. I don't like studying or frogs. My pastimes are kept a secret. I have no aspirations for the future. Despondently, Naruto thought, there's something familiar about this girl, like I've seen her type before, but how can she hate frogs? They're awesome. He glanced to see if any girl with black hair tied in a ponytail had not already introduced herself, and he almost missed her. I'm sorry, I nearly missed you, he said. You ought to leave now, in my opinion. Why? Yes, sir. Being formal is not necessary. Call me Naruto, please. Formality is not necessary for me. I also don't like them. Naruto smiled. Okay, I'm Okochi Akira, and I'm seated in number 6. I enjoy swimming, helping others, and small animals. When people fight, I absolutely detest it. Swimming is one of my pastimes, and I hope to compete in the Olympics. As Naruto searched for another victim, he noticed a short, white-haired girl with dark skin, a line over her right eye, and a teardrop mark under her left eye. You still need to introduce yourself, he thought, but she seems nice and sweet. Come on. There's nothing better than a good brawl. The class was surprised when Naruto said, Zazie Rainy Day is a very pretty name, but it must be difficult being seat number 30.1, in a sympathetic manner. He can comprehend Zazie? The class exclaimed, and even Zazie appeared taken aback. I knew a guy who was the king of silent talk. Is it true that Isaka Seo is present? Looking around, Naruto said, I can't see her. Eh? Really? I'll try to see you, Seo-chan, Naruto yelled. Isaka Seo, a girl with red eyes and long, transparent white hair, almost burst into tears of joy. Asuna-chan, you're awake, Naruto shouted. Eh? Why? We've already had a meeting, Asuna shouted. Asuna gave Naruto a scowl in response. The only thing I know about you is your name and that you're a possible Shota.con, Naruto said. What? You thug, what were you doing to Negi? Sensei, Ayaka screamed. It was absolutely nothing, Asuna spoke rapidly. Fake. To Naruto's surprise, Ayaka yelled and jumped at her, saying, You're attempting to claim Negi. Sensei's innocence, aren't you? No, you Shota.con, you damn you. You are that, Asuna shouted as the two grappled hands and Negi ran back and forth, attempting to stop the girls in what amounted to a full-blown panic attack. Attack! 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 The majority of the students chanted. Oh, are you unable to stop them, Naruto? Sensei? Akira asked in a panic, but she was caught off guard when she noticed Naruto chanting alongside the other students. On Asuna, I have 5 food coupons, 10 food vouchers on Iancho, shouted Shina. Vouchers for food? In a whisper, Naruto asked her. She smiled and whispered back, it's what the school lets us bet with, adding, we use them to pay less for our meals. You mean these items? Taking out 30 pieces of paper, Naruto said, the old man gave them to me before I got to class. Yes. Well, then I got 5 on Asuna, Sensei, you got it. At least he'll be able to keep up with class better than Negi. Sensei, Akira said, her perspiration melting at the exchange. Achoo. Asuna was standing nude in front of Naruto when Negi sneezed, and the next thing he knew, he was on the ground with a bloody nose. Negi, damn it, once more, you succeeded. Aware that there was now a teenage boy in the class, Asuna yelled while attempting to hide her identity. Don't worry Asuna, I brought you a spare uniform, Kanoka said with a grin. I figured that strange wind would come again, it happens nearly every day after all. Wide-eyed, Negi thought, it's not really that bad, is it? Yes it is, asked Asuna. Eh, can she read my mind now? Yelled Negi. No, you're a brat who is simply too predictable. Asuna shouted angrily as she hurriedly changed into her uniform, and Naruto leapt to his feet, spun around, and walked as far away from her as he could before tearing a page out of Haruna's notebook. Hey, my notes are those. An entire page of juicy information was lost, so Haruna yelled in frustration. She chose to ignore the situation and said, I know, with a grin that made her skin crawl. Asuna-chan, have you dressed yet? Yeah, Asuna replied, feeling ashamed and angry with Negi. Good, then you can introduce yourself now. All right, Asuna said in a deadpanned voice, my name is Kagurazaka Asuna and I'm seat number 8. I enjoy paintings and cool guys like Takahata. Sensei. I don't like studying, perverted men, perverted ermines, or little perverted brats. Painting and playing sports are my pastimes. Are you an artist? Naruto broke off in a frightened tone. Yes. Why is he staring at me like I'm evil? Asuna asked in a perplexed tone. Is that a problem? Murmuring, depends how radical you are about your art, Naruto said. Why, Naruto? Sensei, is that important? Ayaka inquired, equally perplexed. I've had some bad experiences with artists is all, Naruto stated. Like what? With excitement, Fuka and Fumika asked in stereo. The class blanched when Naruto said, let's see, there was the guy who killed people, dried their corpses, and turned them into puppets. There's the guy who made all kinds of clay statues just to blow them up and take anyone he can with him. Although the last man's art isn't particularly radical, I still count him because he was such a creepy bastard. A guy shouldn't have real white skin, wear clothing that exposes your midriff, or have eerie fake smiles. The class thought in disbelief, what the hell were you doing to meet people like that? People as puppets? Evangeline smirked as she pictured murdering Nagi and using his body as her puppet. Now there's an idea. Well, I'm not that radical about my work, Asuna was coughing. Don't have a dream for the future. Okay, you're the next Cha. Chan. Excited, Naruto walked up to Chachimaru and jabbed her in the head, saying, I told you you're the next Cha-chan. Naruto. Sensei, why are you referring to me as Cha-chan? I don't understand. Stoically, Chachimaru asked. Because you fit it, before murmuring, and your full name is too hard for me to remember, Naruto shouted with enthusiasm, and the rest of the class applauded. That's where the cheering class face faulted. I get Naruto. Sensei. I'm Karakuri Chachimaru, and I'm seated in seat 10. I was not programmed to dislike anything, and I enjoy serving tea. Although I don't have a pastime, I assist at the Chao Bao Zi as directed by the master in Chao Sama. Dreaming was not a part of my programming. Naruto thought incredulously, you're the next one, Chibi-chan. It's like she's a puppet. Chibi-chan. Exclaimed the magically aware. I'm telling you anything, Naruto. Sama. Like the devil. Evangeline shouted, feeling ashamed that she still had to address him as Naruto. Sama. The magically aware thought in even greater surprise, Naruto. Sama. All right, then. That's all of you. With a cheer, Negi said. Nah. Naruto objected, saying, you forgot someone. Really? Who? Negi looked around before asking, but he was startled when Naruto gave him a forehead flick. You forgot yourself, youngster, Naruto, and the students chuckled. What? Oh. The class laughed even harder. My name is Negi Springfield, and I teach English at Mahora Middle School in addition to being the homeroom teacher for 3. That's right, I forgot. I enjoy my dad, Nikane.ne. Chan. Books, education, my students. The class smiled at him. And tea time. Researching and spending time with my students are my hobbies. I detest baths and scary things. I hope to meet a man who goes by the name, the Thousand Master. That covers everyone now. Naruto bowed and cheered, saying, let's all get along. Yes. The class gave a hearty cheer, but Minamoto Shizuna, a woman with long aquamarine hair and tiny rectangular glasses, entered. Negi. Sensei, Naruto. Sensei, the headmaster is calling you, Shizuna said with a warm smile. All right. Negi enthusiastically called back, and he and Naruto left the classroom. Hello, Naruto. Sensei, I am Shizuna, Shizuna said, surprised that when Naruto turned around, he had avoided walking into her chest. Naturally, she was unaware that Naruto had a special sensor that prevented him from walking into older girls with large chests because Tsunade had beaten the living daylights out of him when he did. Greetings, Shizuna. Chan, I don't like honorifics, though, so you can just call me Naruto, Naruto grinned. Shizuna blushed and giggled as she said, I understand Naruto.kun, and she waved good.bye as they entered the headmaster's office. A minute later, Negi screamed, the school trip to Kyoto has been cancelled? Well, since Kyoto is out of your reach, how about Hawaii? As Negi literally blew away in sadness, Kanoman asked, and Naruto just stood there, clueless, but remembering that Evangeline had mentioned it earlier, he quickly asked what they were talking about. Since Negi was too depressed to respond, Kanoman told him what a school trip was and what Kyoto was. Ah, Naruto uttered in comprehension. Not wanting to see Negi look so down any longer, Kanoman said, hey come now, it's not cancelled yet, it's just that they don't want you there. They? You mean the government office in Kyoto? Suddenly showing up in front of Kanoman, Negi asked. Oh, I see. How'd I explain this? It's the Kansai Magical Association, Kanoman thought. They're that person. Magical Association of the Kei Kansai? Together, Negi and Naruto posed the question. Actually, I'm one of the directors of the Kanto Magic Association, Kanoman said with seriousness. The Kanto and Kansai Magic Associations have had a shaky relationship for a long time now. You mean they wouldn't like it if you sent a mage teacher? With knowledge, Naruto inquired. Correct Naruto.kun. Does that imply that I was the reason the trip was cancelled? Negi let out a dejected cry. Simply put, that's right, way to go Negi, Naruto said. Ni Naruto. Kanoman interrupted, saying, wait you two, keep listening. I'm sending you two on a special envoy to put an end to the feud with mages in the west. You must forward this letter to the leader, Negi. There may be danger along the way, but since the potential enemies are also mages, they'll probably leave normal people out of conflict, Kanoman said, passing him a letter bearing the Mahora class seal. In addition to being the class personal guard in case any of the students are attacked, you are supposed to support Naruto in case any of the adversaries prove to be more formidable than expected. Understood, Naruto said gravely, determined not to let another diplomatic attempt go awry. Negi.kun. How about you? Naruto-kun won't be able to shield you from every battle, so this task won't be simple, Konoman clarified. I'll handle it, Headmaster, Negi gave the elderly man assurance. Ah, don't get cocky though, Konoman said, laughing. It seems the incident with Evangeline has increased your confidence a little. Old man, don't worry, with the good guy's pose, Naruto declared, if the brat gets ahead of himself, I'll slam his head in. Eh? The two laughed at Negi's terrified yell. One more thing you two, Konoman said, returning to his serious tone. My granddaughter Kanoka used to live in Kyoto. I assume Kanoka is still unaware that magic exists? Wait, is your granddaughter Kanoka from class? Hey, she does share your last name, Naruto inquired. Naruto-kun, you seem a little slow, don't you? With a drop of perspiration, Konoman inquired. What are you saying? With a bewildered tilt of his head, Naruto asked. Never mind, Konoman remarked casually. So, is she Negi-kun anyway? I don't think so, her parents have different opinions, but I don't really care either way. Would you kindly ensure that she doesn't find out? I'm sorry for the trouble, Konoman said. Don't worry, old man, we get it, correct, Negi? Yeah. Well, then the class trip will go according to schedule. Let's see if Naruto-kun is as good as he claimed to be. This will demonstrate how much I can genuinely trust the boy. I'm counting on you, Negi-kun, Naruto-kun. Yes, sir. The two nodded in agreement. Wow, that tree is huge. Naruto yelled out, noticing the school's giant tree for the first time. Somehow, Negi and Naruto were running to his dorm to start Naruto's first tutoring session. What the deal is with that thing? Not even Konoha had trees that large. As Chamo emerged from Negi's suit jacket, he declared, that's the world's tree, referring to the largest tree on the planet. In fact, the abundance of saturated magic in the region is what caused it to grow that big. Whoa. When I was doing the tree climbing exercise, I was relieved that I didn't have to climb that thing. Negi was about to inquire as to what made climbing trees unique when Chamo cut him off. Oh, I remember that. As I mentioned before, did you notice a card show up when you used the provisional contract yesterday? Negi pulled out a card and said, you mean this? Naruto examined it more closely. It featured an image of Asuna's entire body with a magical circle of Pactio sealing behind her. This was written on Asuna's legs. Kagurazaka Asuna Bellatrix Sauciata. Virtus Audacia, and Directio Orions, were written in a second rectangle with rounded edges further below. Above the Pactio circle, it read, Charta Ministralis. The Roman numeral 8, which matched her seat number, was in the upper left corner, and the upside down version was in the lower right corner. Rubor was written in a red circle in the upper right corner. Tonus was written beneath the circle. The Male and Mars symbols were represented by a red circle in the lower left corner. In fact, it read, Mars, just below the circle, and Astrolitas, above it. Asuna had a big rock cutting sword in her hand. It was only roughly a third as thick as Zabuza's guillotine sword, but it was most likely as long. With gleaming eyes, Naruto exclaimed, wow, that's cool, and Chamo replied, yeah, that's it. Negi exclaimed, that's a nice picture, with enthusiasm. Was it drawn by the spirits of the contract? When Chamo said, this is proof of the contract. Negi said, is that so? Before flushing. As evidence of the contract? Upon reflection, Asuna-san and I. Negi. Naruto. Asuna and Kanoka yelled. Kanoka wore a pink super large sweater, and Asuna wore blue jeans and a white shirt with sleeves that reached her elbows. In shock, Negi stumbled out, Asuna-san. With suspicion, Asuna questioned, huh? Why's your face so red? He was thinking about your contract, Naruto smirked. The arrow, Gaki. Screamed Asuna. Naruto said, hey Kanoka-chan, to greet him. Kanoka said, hello Naruto. Sensei, but she felt a slight flick of light across her forehead. What was that for Naruto? Sensei. Naruto reprimanded her, saying, no sensei outside, or inside, of class. Just call me Naruto or Naruto-kun. Okay. Naruto-kun, Kanoka exclaimed excitedly. Do you and Negi-kun want to go shopping for a bag for the trip with us? Naruto said, sure, on their behalf, but Kanoka didn't hear him. She noticed something else. Negi-kun. What is that? Gazing at the Pactio card, Kanoka inquired, a tarot card? Additionally, it features a very adorable photo of Asuna. This is fantastic. Well, What's up with these clothes? When did you wear them? Mystified, Asuna asked. Naruto made a serious remark. Asuna-chan, you look really cool with the sword. You look like a great warrior. Why? You believe that? Asuna blushed and asked. Totally, Naruto said to her, grinning slyly. Asuna. I'm the warrior princess. Asuna spluttered that it wasn't true and flushed dark red. Why did you make this anyway, Negi? Asuna spoke to him in a whisper. As Kanoka leaned in, Negi whispered, I didn't make it Asuna-san, and Naruto watched in amusement. This is proof of. I wish I could have done the contract with Na.Air. Takahata. Sensei instead. Asuna blushed red and yelled in understanding. But for Negi.kun to make such a beautiful card and carry it around with him, Kanoka chuckled. You must really. No, I'm not. Negi angrily denied. Kanoka-chan, do you think so? Amused, Naruto asked. Yeah, we live together, you know, Kanoka said with enthusiasm, so you should visit them at home. Oh, Naruto shrugged and said, no one told me that. What goes on at your guy's dorm? Well, every night Negi. Should we start now? Asuna blushed and interrupted with great force. You look great in this. Holding a sweater up to Negi, Kanoka said joyfully, it really does. Naruto remarked, you look like a mother buying clothes for her son Kanoka-chan, recalling the one occasion he was ever glad he didn't have a mother, when he saw Shikamaru and his mother shopping. Naruto could tell he was thinking the same thing by the expression on Negi's face and his groan of, Kanoka-san, why? You think so, Naruto.kun? Does that imply that you are the father? Kanoka inquired. I guess I am, Naruto said, glancing at the bags he was carrying. That means I'm your wife. Naruto winced as Kanoka giggled. After this mission, we're going to get married, right? I can't wait, Naruto. Sakura smiled. Naturally, Sakura-chan, we'll get married after we catch Sasuke. We'll surprise everyone by surviving. It's unbelievable that they genuinely believe we will perish, until we have little Narutos and Sakuras running around playing tricks and developing into excellent ninjas. Neither of us will die, Sakura sighed. Before entering the Konoha ruins, Naruto gave Sakura-chan a final kiss and said, I can't wait for that day, Sakura-chan, with a gentle smile. What's the matter, Naruto.kun? Kanoka asked before realizing what she said. Oh, I'm sorry. It's okay, Kanoka-chan, Naruto reassured her, I just need a little time. I'm going to go find a suit, okay? The quiet, alright Naruto.kun, Kanoka said. After perusing the suits, Naruto ultimately chose to purchase two of them, a black and a white one. But he chose to purchase an orange tie instead, which he tried on but was unable to tie properly. Kanoka, Negi, Naruto, where have you gone? Naruto called, I'm over here, Asuna-chan, and he approached her while sporting a rumpled orange tie and a white suit. That tie's terrible, Naruto, Asuna deadpanned, adding, he has terrible color taste. I've never worn one, okay. Naruto sighed. I tried to copy Negi's, but it didn't turn out right. With a frustrated sigh, Asuna began tying his tie, saying, here, let me help you, idiot, adding, I learned how to do this for Takahata. Sensei, not you. They appear to be a loving couple, don't they? Naruto coughed and said, why don't we .Air? Look for Kanoka-chan and Negi. A girl said this from behind them, and then there was a lot of giggling. Asuna and Naruto jumped apart, looking at each other awkwardly and flushed. What a fantastic idea. Asuna spoke a bit too quickly, and before they could hear Kanoka's voice behind a curtain, Asuna and Naruto glanced around the department. Kanoka, are you in there? Naruto was astonished to see Kanoka kiss Negi on the cheek after Asuna asked and pulled back the curtain. What on earth are you two up to? Questioningly, Naruto yelled, and then, as if by magic, a card materialized in front of them. Whoa! It is akin to magic. Kanoka said enthusiastically, and she grabbed the card. Yan, it's my card, Yan. However, the card was clearly a failure because it was only a rudimentary illustration of Kanoka wearing a staff, a witch's hat, and a mage's cloak. Why is it so badly drawn? This is completely different from Asuna's card, Asuna sobbed. It looks like it's got to be a proper kiss after all, Negi thought. Really? Kanoka shouted in shock. Negi remarked, all had disappeared, as Kanoka sobbed pitifully and the card vanished. Alright, Negi.kun, let's give it another go. Asuna was holding Kanoka's head back as firmly as she could, so Kanoka said, I tried to move in to give him a proper kiss. Hey, hello. Relax, Kanoka, Asuna said, irritated. On the cheek only? One of those Pactio cards entails a 50,000 Ermin dollar intermediation payment from the Ermin organization. Another failure, Shamo muttered to himself in frustration. I see, so you were the one behind this, you perverted Ermin, a demon. Like voice said behind him, and Shamo jumped in shock when a kunai suddenly landed a millimeter in front of his face. He turned to see a very angry Asuna and an equally angry Naruto, who was holding another kunai. You're trying to deceive children again, aren't you? When he hit the ground, Naruto stepped on him after Asuna repeatedly punched him. Forgive me, San, San. Negi touched his cheek and thought, maybe on the cheek was best. Next time you'll really suffer, Asuna informed the lifeless, looking Shamo. Shamo said, I'm already suffering San, with pain. Naruto said in a low, lethal voice, you don't even know what the meaning of suffering is yet, Ermin, and Asuna nodded in agreement. I also want a card. Kanoka let out a cry during a brief outburst. Hey, hello. I'll give you a proper kiss when we're alone again, Negi-kun. Okay. To Negi's surprise, Kanoka muttered something softly. What was that? Together, Naruto and Asuna posed the question. Nothing. Kanoka reassured them quickly. As Naruto lay in bed that night, he thought, I have a bad feeling about this school trip. Evangeline was furious that he had spent the day hanging out with Negi. She apparently felt that he should have asked her permission first, and she was even more furious when he spanked her 10 times for being such a brat. Sighing, he fell asleep and started to dream, making sure to install seals to keep Evangeline out so she couldn't kill him while he was asleep. Gaara. Temari's voice screeched above the Shukaku's roar, not you too. Gaara questioned in confusion, Naruto, what are you doing here? Shouldn't you be helping set the seal in Konoha? Yeah, Naruto said solemnly. But, I was going over the notes and found one serious flaw with the Biju 8 trigrams seal. Oh, and what's that? Temari inquired uneasily. Each sealing circle must be activated at the same time in all 8 places. Sanagakure no Sato, Omegakure no Sato, Iwagakure no Sato, Otogakure no Sato, Kumogakure no Sato, Kirigakure no Sato, Uzushiogakure no Sato and Konohagakure no Sato, Naruto said. However, when I went over Mito's notes that I found in Uzushio, she did not realize that each seal must be activated at the same time by the same person. Kankuro questioned, then the plan is a failure? We've got to try something else after all? Under normal circumstances you would, but luckily you have me. I have created 15 other clones and just like me they are all in Kyuubi control mode. Thus I can activate all of the circles at once since 8 of those clones will dispel and let me know when each Biju is in the circle. The problem is that with this much distance between each of us as well as the chakra needed to activate the seal I can't fight. That statement caused a slight flinch from everyone. Damn it, that means our chances for victory just went down 23%, Kankuro screamed. With those Zetsus and zombies to fight as well I'm not completely sure we can even hope to win this thing. Gaara instantly yelled, do not despair my people. With everyone. Even without Naruto to help we are all trained to fight this and I believe we can win this. Naruto has entrusted us in defeating a monster we helped to create, we shall not let him down. Prepare yourselves. Prepare your family, prepare your comrades. By time today is over the greatest monsters of this world shall be gone. We can win, we will win. Gaara. Sama, Naruto. Sama, we believe in you, yelled the ninja-filled audience. Gaara gave the order, to battle positions, and everyone leapt around the perimeter of the village to protect everything. Temari took a position in the exact middle of the sealing circle. Nervously, Naruto questioned, are you sure you want to do this, Temari? I really don't like this. I wish I could figure out another way. With a friendly smile, Temari said, don't worry about Naruto. This was my choice and I gladly accept dying to save everyone. Gotta admit though I never expected to be a sacrifice for a sealing. I wonder if this is poetic justice for ignoring Gaara as a child. Ha, that's a laugh. Just as Naruto was about to reply, there was a sudden explosion everywhere. Watching the battles around him, Naruto and his clone leapt to the highest point, where he must remain for the sealing. The male voice laughed gleefully, my wayward son the cage, ha. Turning, Naruto saw a horrifying scene. Gaara was up against 4 opponents at once. The Shukaku itself, along with his mother, father, and uncle. He was being laughed at by the 4th cage. What a great failure you've turned out to be after all. It seems I'll have to do what I was supposed to do all along and kill you. I should really thank that bastard for this. He just avoided the sand that Gaara threw at him. Gaara, Yashimaru sneered, I told you to love yourself and only yourself. What are you doing caring for a village like this? Don't tell me you believe they actually care for you, ha. They only wanted a powerful weapon. That's all you've ever been and always will be. Gaara yelled, "You're wrong," and then grabbed Yashimaru in his sand coffin. Yashimaru instantly reformed after the man was crushed under the weight of the sand. "Stupid child, I cannot be killed with such meager means." He jumped away in shock as Korora abruptly whispered, "Gaara, my baby boy," in his ear, but not before she was able to stab him with an electrified sword. "How I truly regret giving birth to a beast such as you." Mother, Gaara screeched in horror. "No, I'm not a beast, I'm not." Shukaku laughed ruthlessly as he crushed 30 men beneath him. "Ha ha ha ha, of course you are my cute little Jinchuriki. I'll never forget all of the blood I was able to drink because of you. It was delightful," he said. "How I've dreamed of the day I would get to crush you." "No," exclaimed Gaara, blocking the Ichibi's own sand blast with a strong wall of sand. Hardened spikes were hurled at his 3 potential attackers as he swiftly built a wall of sand around himself. Despite being horribly impaled, neither was stopped. Suddenly, a Zetsu managed to sneak up on him and a puppet stopped his strike. Gaara turned to see Ebizo using one of his puppets to block the sword. He watched in horror as Ebizo engaged in a full-fledged puppet fight with his sister, Chiyo. As one might anticipate, they would move and attack. Once one puppet was destroyed, it would simply set off trap after trap. In order to avoid being caught in the taps, other shinobi had retreated. Ebizo said with a pant, "Enough, sister. Why don't you stop?" But Chiyo didn't answer. "Damn old fool. It seems that you're one of the ones that had their personalities crushed." Ebizo swiftly set loose 30 puppets and destroyed all of Chiyo's. Ordinarily, he wouldn't do this because the hundreds of traps she set off all at once were among the most lethal he had ever encountered. All of that didn't matter now, though, as he hurried her while making hasty hand signals. Forbidden arts. Soul-sacrificing jutsu. As he took a lethal dose of poison directly into his heart, he suddenly grabbed her shoulders. It didn't matter because as soon as he grabbed Chiyo, their souls were ripped from their bodies. Naruto could only see their translucent silhouette before they vanished. Ebizo collapsed dead, and Chiyo's fake body turned gray and crumbled. "Ebizo! Sama!" exclaimed Tamari from the circle, clenching her fists before turning to face her brother in horror. "Gaara, not you too." Gaara had hurried forward and used his sand to blast his father and uncle as far away as he could at the moment of Ebizo's death. Despite his mother's last-minute dodge, Gaara paralyzed her entire body with one of Ebizo's now useless puppets. Tamari just noticed that he was unable to respond in time to Shukaku's own sand attack, Sand Coffin. All they could do was watch in horror as Gaara's own signature attack destroyed him. Gaara lay there as the sand died, his legs gone, one arm crushed and useless, and a piece of his skull crushed completely. Matsuri cried out, "Gaara, above all else, no." Shukaku let out a wild laugh. "Ha ha 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 ha. How I've dreamed of doing that to you. Die, you pathetic human," they added. While everyone mourned the death of their leader, Naruto realized that he still had some life left. "I'm not done yet," Gaara exclaimed abruptly. "Do not let him get out of the circle no matter what." Sand style, Desert Rebellion Jutsu. The whole desert rose up, pushing the Shukaku right into the circle, and everyone watched in wonder. The beast was right above Tamari when she let out a cry. Tamari shouted, "This is for you, Gaara, in honor of her deceased brother. Secret arts. Demon chain jutsu." The beast was chained to the ground by a big chain that emerged from inside Tamari, only slightly smaller than Kushina's own. "Don't let it break those chains, men," Kankuro yelled. "For Gaara." Everyone erupted in a collective cheer, for Gaara, before resuming combat with the Ichibi, the Zetsus, and the zombies. To let the others know, Naruto felt his clone vanish. Naruto yelled, "Just a little more, everyone." "Yes," exclaimed everyone. While Matsuri fought Yashimaru, Kankuro charged forward and engaged his father in combat. The two shouted together, "I'll make you pay for everything you did to Gaara," and hurried forward. Kankuro let go of all his puppets and traps. The fourth cage managed to avoid nearly all of them, but was taken aback when he was trapped inside a puppet and rendered immobile. "Take that, you bastard of a father." As her kunai clashed with Yashimaru's, Matsuri yelled, "You stay away from Gaara." Before Matsuri stood in his way, Yashimaru had hurried forward to further demolish Gaara's body. Yashimaru laughed, "How cute. You've fallen in love with a monster," he said. "So what if I have?" Matsuri shot back, kicking the man out of the way. "I can love whoever I damn want to." Yashimaru said bluntly, "You're making a mistake," but he failed to notice Kankuro lift a second capturing puppet. She hurried forward to push back the man who had hurt her beloved fiancé so much because she was determined to stop him. Unfortunately, he impaled her in the neck at that precise moment by holding out his kunai. She persisted, and Yashimaru ended up trapped in the black ant puppet. Matsuri coughed and hobbled over to Gaara's lifeless body. I got you, she said. Gee Gaara. Ironically, Matsuri's hand fell into his good one as she fell dead beside him. Watching helplessly as everyone fought, Naruto was crying. He had never felt so worthless in his life. For preventing him from assisting his friends, he cursed this seal. He was suddenly struck by a flood of memories. That's every one of them. Before summoning the final Suna shinobi, Naruto thought excitedly. Get out of the circle right now. The ninja followed instructions knowing what was going to happen. In order to keep the remaining Zetsus and mobile zombies from getting inside the circle, they instead engaged them. 8 trigrams. Biju sealing jutsu. It was the most demonic force any of them had ever experienced, but gradually it transformed into light as a massive pillar of black light shot up and into the moon. It was a fortunate sensation as Naruto's own chakra's light overruled it and drove the darkness out of the land. As the Zetsus gradually shriveled to nothing and the zombies' souls were torn from their bodies by the jutsu, they all let out cries. The battle was over when the light faded and everything became silent. Tamari was lying on the ground when Naruto leapt to the ground. Her body had been burned black, and her hair and clothes were gone. Tamari, mumbled Naruto. Tamari, unable to speak louder than a whisper, asked painfully, "Ya get him, Naruto?" Yeah, Tamari grinned and said, "Good." It appeared to be quite painful. You mind turning me over, Naruto? I want to watch the clouds. Naruto complied with the request without saying anything. Hey, thanks Naruto. That lazy bastard was right, this is very relaxing. I can't wait to watch them with him again. As her eyes gradually lost their last of their life, Naruto could only weep. In a cold sweat, Naruto leapt from his bed. I'm still having these nightmares, damn it. Weeks have passed since I had a restful night's sleep. Naruto shrugged and dressed, saying, oh well. After removing the barrier seals, he went out the door to discover Chachimaru preparing breakfast while Evangeline complained about how long it was taking. Mornin' Chan, Shibi. Chan. Good morning Naruto, Chachimaru said cheerfully as Evangeline gave him a stern look. Oh come on Chibi. Chan, you can't still be mad about the spanking. Naruto. Sama should never be fed breakfast by Chachimaru, Evangeline growled angrily. Chachimaru said, yes master, in a robotic voice. Naruto exclaimed, what? How will I eat? Don't care. Chan? Since Hakase and Chao had programmed her to promote the stand, Chachimaru said, the Chao Bao Z is open at this of day, without thinking. I will print out a map for you. Evangeline was bomb diving, and Naruto ducked under her. Thanks Chan. You're so much nicer than that grumpy little chibi. Chan, Naruto said pleasantly. She happened to land in the refrigerator, so Naruto simply snapped it shut. Cool off a little chibi. Chan. He only needed to follow his nose to locate the stand, which didn't take long. Morning Chao. Chan, Satsuki. Chan. Satsuki said, good morning, Naruto. Sensei, with grace. Anything I can get you? Just Naruto Satsuki. Chan, naturally, Naruto corrected, and I'll take 10 bowls of ramen. Satsuki stammered in surprise, 10? Why so many? Because it's ramen. You do sell ramen, don't ya? Yes, replied Satsuki. Chao.san had me sell ramen at all times since we opened the stand, though you were the first to order it in the morning. Chao. Chan really is a genius. Thank you Naruto.kun, exclaimed Chao, who appeared to be quite proud of herself. Try the ramen. It's an old recipe I looked up years ago, it's some of the best ever. Naruto remarked, really now? I'll be the judge of that, and reluctantly took a bite. He chewed slowly, much to the obvious trepidation of Satsuki and Chao. Though Chao, for some reason, seemed more nervous, Naruto suddenly started crying. It has the same flavor as Ichiraku's. Are you okay, Naruto.kun? Satsuki inquired nervously after her. Naruto sobbed as he said, I have no words for this. You two are my heroes. This is the greatest ramen ever, I'll be sure to visit often, thank you. Chao said, you're very welcome, Naruto.kun, with a radiant smile. Do you have any plans for today by the way? Naruto apologized and said, sorry Chan, but I do, which caused her to lose her confidence. We can hang out another time alright. When Naruto stroked her head, Chao brightly exclaimed, okay, and purred softly. He went to the scheduled meeting at the train station. As she, Madoka, and Misa strolled down the crowded street, Sheena cried out, "Yahoo, what great weather." "NN, you're right," Misa said with a smile. "All right, let's head to karaoke right away," Sheena exclaimed. "I've been holding back since 9 o'clock." Misa exclaimed, "All right, I'm gonna sing my heart out," when she agreed. Hey, that's not what we're here for you two. You can't just go off to karaoke because of some nice weather," Madoka fumed. "We're here to buy clothes for the school trips. Free time day, it starts the day after tomorrow, you know. So, you can't just play around like usual. You guys have got to prepare yourselves properly." At the food stand, Sheena said, "Please, one Goya crepe." When Madoka realized they had totally disregarded her, she moaned. The food stand guy laughed gleefully, saying, "Whoa, a Goya crepe, do you handle it, Chan? It's bitter, you know." "Get me one too." Misa assures the man, "We can handle it completely." Madoka screamed, "Goddammit, listen to me you idiots," with rage. "Arg, now you've got me mad, I want one too." Sheena's hypnotic voice said, "Yes, Madoka, eat and grow fat. Eat and grow fat," before she bit into her crepe. "Ooh-ah, this is really bitter." Misa looked in the window of the nearby store and exclaimed, "Ah, look at these clothes, they're really cute." A man advertised, "The karaoke here is really cheap, how about it?" "This is so much fun," exclaimed Sheena. "They don't normally let us out of Mahora." Misa halted in surprise. Madoka almost bumped into Misa and asked, "What's up, Misa?" Naruto chuckled and said, "Looks like you bought the sweater after all, huh, Negi?" Kanoka said sweetly, "It looks nice, doesn't it?" Naruto scratched at his chin and pondered, "I don't know, I think it needs more orange." "You just love that color, don't you, Naruto.ni?" Negi responded. Naruto said, "Of course, orange is like the greatest color ever," and then he muttered, "I even secretly bought an orange suit." Misa hushed, Hey, isn't that Negi.kun, Naruto.kun, and Kanoka?" while hiding behind a man dressed in a suit. Sheena pondered, "You're right, what are those three doing here?" Kanoka held up a sweater and said, Hey, how about this one, Negi.kun, Naruto.kun?" When Negi looked at Naruto, who was putting on an orange and black sweater, he said, "Aw, that looks good. It's real cute, right, Naruto.ni?" Naruto exclaimed, "Huh? Oh, it looks really nice on you," with a tentative smile. Poor Negi hasn't mastered the art of shopping with women yet, but he was compelled to go shopping with Sakura and Ino numerous times, so he didn't even give her a serious glance. He would have abandoned them, but he was thrilled that Ino was seeing Choji. "This appears to be a date," the cheerleader trio exclaimed in shock. Madoka muttered, But Negi. Kun's only 10 years old, and Kanoka only met Naruto.kun yesterday. Why would she go on a date with both of them?" "That is irrelevant. Naruto.kun and Negi.kun are educators. If anyone discovers this, it will be a scandal," Madoka exclaimed in a truly panicked tone. "If they find out Negi.kun and Naruto.kun are dating their students, they'll be fired," Misa groaned. Wait, isn't this more Kanoka hitting on Negi.kun rather than the other way around and taking advantage of Naruto.kun on the rebound?" Madoka asked with seriousness. "Ooh, I see," cried Sheena. "That's how it looks to me, too," Misa remarked, thoughtfully scratching her chin. "I mean, Kanoka lives in the same dorm as Negi.kun, doesn't she?" "Yeah, living with Negi.kun might have stirred Kanoka's maternal instinct, but those feelings of affection developed into romance. And then under one roof they." The trio imagined a nude Negi blushing uneasily as a similarly nude Kanoka ascended slowly on top of him. Sheena added enviously, "But the Naruto.kun came and Kanoka instantly fell in love with him too. She couldn't choose Negi.kun over Naruto.kun at this point, and so she decided to date both of them." "That's not fair," infuriated Misa. "Why does she get two boyfriends and one as hot as Naruto.kun?" Sheena raged, "And she's taking advantage of him too. Naruto.kun said his girlfriend died only a couple days ago and she's already sinking her claws into him. If he's fair game, then I want to date him." "Me too," exclaimed Misa, envious. "You've already got a boyfriend, Misa," exclaimed Madoka in surprise. Jealously, Misa exclaimed, "So, if Kanoka can have two, then so can I," before dialing a number on her cell phone. "Either way, we've got to contact the authorities." Sheena exclaimed in surprise, The authorities? You mean the staff room?" "You idiot. They'll be fired and thrown out of school that way," Madoka growled. Asuna blearily sat up from her bed and asked, yes. What is it, Kakazaki? Her hair was not in her typical pigtails, and she remained in her pajamas. What do you want? I finally got a day off and you. On the phone, Misa screamed, stop sleeping until noon on a holiday, damn it, we've got trouble, it's terrible, take a look at this. With monotony, the phone said, you've got mail. Before examining the picture, Asuna pondered, she sent a picture? It featured a picture of Kanoka holding a shirt up to her, with Naruto watching with admiration and Negi grinning broadly. Misa questioned, well, isn't this a secret date? What's going on with those three? Asuna, you have to at least know what's going on between Negi-kun and Kanoka. Madoka was blushing. When Shina said, she's going to steal Negi-kun from you, Asuna, she was trembling. And, she's taken advantage of a broken-hearted Naruto-kun too. That's so stupid, Asuna said, kicking a sleeping Chamo off the bed and discarding her cell phone as she lay back down. There's no way Kanoka would do something like that. Misa called out, Hey, come on Asuna. Don't fall back to sleep. Asuna. Hello? Asuna? Shina sulked and said, she didn't believe us. Hey, pay attention, they're on the move again, said Madoka. Huh? Naruto and Negi turned to face each other in uniform. Madoka screamed, crap, and hurried behind a wall. Whispering, let them go a bit further, Shina said. With a smile, Kanoka said, something wrong Naruto-kun? Negi-kun? Naruto remarked, I thought I saw someone following us, instead. Me too, Negi said, then cast a sulky glance down. I'm sorry Kanoka-san. You finally got a day off and of getting ready for the tip you're spending it with me and Naruto.ni. Yeah, Kanoka-chan, I really got to thank you for coming all this way with me. Naruto laughed. I got to tell y'all I'm not really used to people following my requests. Brightly, Kanoka said, I'm so happy to think you two would care about me so much. Kanoka-san, Naruto and Negi said, both of them flushed. Hey, the trio drooled and blushed as they thought excitedly. Hyan. They're in a good mood. This is great. They're progressing so fast. Shina burst into tears. With excitement, Misa exclaimed, those three can pull off this forbidden love, for sure. Like Shina, Madoka squealed, Kaya, I'm so nervous. Asuna's cell phone began to ring while she and Chamo were eating lunch in one of the numerous quads. Yes? Oh, it's you again Kakazaki. What do you want? She said, quickly picking it up. It's amazing. It's incredible, Asuna. It feels like those three are going to quit school and run off to get married. Misa screamed while on the phone. Huh? Kanoka did mention going shopping with Negi today, though I didn't hear anything about Naruto, Asuna was thinking enviously. Over the phone, Shina squealed, no, it's a date. A secret love. Love date, Kaya. Ayaka appeared next to Asuna out of nowhere and asked, Era, what's the matter Asuna-san? When Asuna said, absolutely nothing Insho-san, really, she did so nervously and rapidly. Misa said softly, anyway, we're going to keep following them. I'll send you another photo, so just hold on another minute, but Asuna saw at once how serious this situation could get. Hey Kakazaki, you don't have to do that, Asuna said, you got mail, and her cell phone rang. Ayaka glanced at Asuna's phone and hummed inquisitively, PFT. The new picture of Negi, Naruto, and Kanoka shocked Ayaka. While Naruto ruffled Negi's hair and gave Kanoka a French fry, Negi and Kanoka were sipping a fruit drink. Ayaka screamed in jealousy, what the hell is this? Even jokes have limits. Asuna shouted, I don't know, as Ayaka attempted to strike her, I'm telling you I don't know. Misa grabbed her hat and cheered, all right, I'm getting pumped up, it's time for us to make a move. Now that I think about it, Kanoka and Negi-kun were obvious, Madoka remarked reflectively. And, Naruto-kun did look lovingly at her yesterday. As Shina pointed out, there was that scandal during spring break when Negi-kun and Kanoka were embracing in a classroom, she said in a low voice. But, maybe I can stop Naruto-kun from going for her. I heard that Kanoka had a marriage interview that day, Madoka stated. Then the other interviewee was Negi-kun? That means that Negi-kun could be the future principal if everything goes right. Misa was astonished. Or, maybe Naruto-kun is also another interviewee. I wish I had a grandpa that would set me up with hot guys like Naruto-kun. That must be why both of them were able to become teachers despite being school age, Sheena thought to herself. Misa joyfully exclaimed, "That's right, and, what's more, I've decided on a plan for us, the Mahora cheerleading squad." As the trio produced pom-poms. "We'll support their relationship. We'll stake our names on cheerleaders on it." Silently, Sheena and Misa thought, "I'll covertly ruin Naruto-kun and Kanoka's relationship." Misa's phone began to ring abruptly. Ayaka called out, "Hold on just a minute," to the surprise of everyone. "This is a direct order from the ENCHO of Class 3. There is an absolute prohibition on immoral student-teacher relationships. You will stop them right now. Kakazaki-san, Kujimaya-san, Sakurako-san. You will be responsible for making sure those three do not become any closer than necessary." Sheena questioned. "Excellent. This is the ideal justification for ending the romance between Kanoka and Naruto-kun." Madoka retorted, "Come on, it's our job to support people." Ayaka shouted, "Do I make myself clear?" and, to accentuate her point, sent a picture of herself that looked demonic. The three of them squeaked in fear, Roger Iancho. Misa whispered, "Sheesh, it looks like we've got no choice. Okay then, in order to conceal our identities." The three hurriedly changed into new attire. Sheena and Misa wore pigtails, tanned their skin rapidly, and wore blue and white sailor uniforms. On the other hand, Madoka covered her hair with a hat while wearing a navy male uniform. She had a very boyish appearance. Asuna ran off. Ayaka yelled, "Let's go Asuna-san," and took her arm. Hey, Iancho, exclaimed Asuna. Kanoka said, "Hey Negi-kun, Naruto-kun, what about this one?" As Naruto moaned, "Oh, not matching clothes, you wouldn't believe how obsessed my girlfriend, Sakura-chan, was with these things." "Really?" laughed Kanoka. "It sounds like there's a story there." Naruto told her, "I'm not talking about it," and she pouted. "Nope, not going to work." Naruto turned away and covered his eyes. Negi and Kanoka both laughed at Naruto's humiliated expression. Stuttering, Madoka said, matching clothes. "Sakurako, attack," calls Misa to Sheena. Sheena said, "Okay," and grabbed Madoka with some force. As they hurried forward, they bumped Kanoka, Negi, and Naruto aside. "Oh, this is so nice. Buy it for me, Kugio-kun." "Manly," Madoka exclaimed. "Ha ha ha, I got it. Hey, Mr. Shop Assistant, I'll take one of these," out loud. When Sheena leaned on Madoka's shoulder, she exclaimed, "Thank you so much, Kugio-kun. Why don't we wear them together?" "You're overdoing it," Madoka said in a frantic whisper. Kanoka said with disappointment, They bought them first." Naruto muttered, "Thank God," as Negi gestured to another object. "How about this one then?" This is perfect," Kanoka exclaimed, instantly regaining her alertness. Negi questioned, "Isn't it Kanoka-san?" Naruto remarked, Maybe I should get a set myself." Misa kicked the three people away after charging forward as fast as she could. This is it, I'll take this one please." With trepidation, the store manager said, "Oh, okay, that'll be 3,000 yen. Misa moaned, This is a dumbbell. I don't want this, and I spent my clothes money on this too." "Just charge it to Iancho's account," Madoka instructed that. "Though I gotta say I'm surprised how health-orientated those three are. Wonder why they need to keep their strength up." The trio imagined a dimly lit room with fragrant pillows and rose petals. Kanoka was on the bed. "Keep interrupting," Sheena squealed angrily and jealously. The three were confused when Naruto managed to purchase clothes for himself without their knowledge, but for the next few hours, whenever they attempted to purchase anything, someone would arrive and take it first. Naruto pondered, "What's up with the people in this city? They keep taking all of the stuff we plan to buy." Negi whispered to himself, "I think I've seen them before, but where?" Kanoka cheerfully said, "It's okay Naruto-kun, we've already bought these," while displaying her bag. Both Negi and Naruto yawned abruptly and extensively. Days of battle. No issue. Spend a few hours shopping? I'm worn out, Naruto thought wearily. Why, I wonder. Kanoka made the suggestion, "Era, you two look tired. Maybe we should go find someplace quiet and rest," and dragged the two along. The trio of cheerleaders wheezed wearily over the things they needed to purchase, but Kanoka's suggestion startled them. Misa yelled, "UWA! Awesomeplace quiet. This is bad." "Iancho, hurry up and get here," Madoka moaned wearily. On the train, Ayaka yelled, "I won't allow anyone to approach Negi. Sensei, even if it is Kanoka. And, I will not let her take advantage of Naruto. Sensei's broken heart. Asuna shot back, irritated, I'm telling you Ainsho, Kanoka wouldn't do that. Shamo muttered, isn't it possible she only wanted an Iki for a card? So, you think she wants a kiss no matter what? But, why would she take Naruto who was just as against it as me? Asuna replied in a whisper. She might be hoping she can kiss Ni-san instead. Shamo was able to reply in a whisper. She did seem to really like him. Asuna wondered, would Kanoka really go that far? When I think about it, Kanoka truly enjoys anything related to fortune-telling, and I have no doubt that she would rather kiss Naruto than Negi, but she would never attempt it following Naruto's negative reaction yesterday. From the stairwell, Negi exclaimed, ah, today was fun, I got to see Tokyo too, with joy. Astonished by the entire city, Naruto concurred, I never knew such technology could exist, thanks for the, what did you call it again Negi? As he moved forward slowly, Negi laughed and said, a cell phone Naruto.ni. Era. Are you okay Negi.kun? You're swaying all over the place. Why don't we sit here and rest for a while? Kanoka giggled. Oh. Okay, Negi, exhausted, said. Naruto leaned his back against Kanoka's as he sat down beside her. Shina laughed and said, ahahaha, they fell asleep. Misa hurriedly said, hold on, take a look at that, and the other two turned to see Negi resting his head on Kanoka's lap. Shina let out a startled, ah, she's letting him sleep on her lap, yep. Mumbling, Ku, I'm so envious, Misa said. At least it's only Negi.kun and not Naruto.kun though. The reply from Shina was, you can do that with your own boyfriend anytime, save some boys for me. Madoka whispered, shish, quiet, before Misa could respond. Kanoka exclaimed, ha, Negi.kun looks so innocent sleeping right Naruto.kun? But Naruto responded with labored breathing. Seems you have a nice innocent face too. Maybe I pushed you too hard today. I know I'll help Negi.kun first. She made a brief hand gesture and held out her pointer finger. Fatigue, fly away, Kanoka exclaimed with a laugh. Just kidding. Kanoka is lucky to occasionally be an airhead because otherwise she might notice her finger briefly glow. Unsure if what they were seeing was real, the three watched in astonishment. Did her hand simply? Misa thought, her eyes wide. Kanoka exclaimed, ah, that's right. The card. With a start. It'll appear if I kiss Negi.kun. Perfect he and Naruto.kun are asleep. Hoo. Surprised. Shina screamed, what, a kiss? Madoka yelled, is she going to do it? Card? Asked Misa, perplexed. She lowered her face to meet Negi's slowly, very slowly. Kanoka. She let out a startled, hold on, cry. Kanoka chuckled and said, I guess I better not after all. I shouldn't kiss him when he's asleep, even if he is a kid. Plus I don't think Naruto.kun would be very happy if he found out. The cheerleading trio was lying face down in the ground when she heard a thud from the nearby bushes. Era. A voice called from the side, and she saw two figures sprinting in her direction. Hold it right there. Kanoka asked, huh? Ainsho and Asuna, why are all of you here? When Ayaka saw Negi using Kanoka as a lap pillow, she was too shocked to respond immediately. She was incredibly envious. With a flushed face, Ayaka exclaimed, KK Kanoka.san is letting Negi Sensei sleep on her lap, and then muttered, I want to try it too. Asuna whispered, Kanoka, are you really going to? Kanoka said, did you figure it out? With disappointment? Negi said, Asuna.san, why are you all here? Asuna's sleeves were caught by something that sailed past Kanoka's ear just as she was about to respond. A needle? Asuna asked, startled. Where did this come from? Naruto said, oh hey everyone, yawning. Oh, how did you get one of my needles Asuna-chan? Asuna yelled, you freaking threw it at me dumbass. Naruto scratched the back of his head and said, oops, sorry, it's sort of a reflex when I wake up. Why? Shina inquired, her eyes wide. Everyone nodded when Naruto said, you remember the crazy artists I mentioned before? That was just the tip of the iceberg of crazy people I've met and I had to come up with a way to protect myself. But, never mind that, why are you all here? Oh, apparently they figured out, Kanoka told Negi and him. Panicked, Negi said, what are we going to do? Naruto muttered, I thought they'd be more surprised. Figured it out? Then, Ayaka stammered bewilderedly. When Asuna said, then you three are really going to, she was stunned. We had no choice, said Kanoka. Negi said, that's right. It's one day early, and began searching through a bag before removing a tiny, wrapped box. Here Asuna-san. For the 21st of April, happy birthday. All Asuna and the others could do was gaze in disbelief at the small box. I've been looking for a present with Kanoka.san and Naruto.ni since this morning, Negi told her. It's an organ that plays your favorite tune, Asuna, Kanoka said with a positive attitude. We were planning to give it to you tomorrow, but since you figured it out. Together, the cheerleading trio exclaimed, "Ah, that's right, we've got presents for you too," as they unloaded everything they had purchased thanks to Naruto, Negi, and Kanoka onto her. Naruto said, "And this one is from me," as he shamefully handed her the little box. I would have gotten you a bigger present, but I had to buy quite a bit of clothes. Negi and Kanoka-chan didn't think it a good idea to tell me it was your birthday until we were on the train too. Thank you Naruto, everyone, Asuna said, feeling both ashamed and ecstatic. I'm so happy. Negi and Naruto both scrunched the back of their heads in shame as they laughed together. Misa whispered, thank God, as the three of them attempted to slip away. After all, Kanoka wasn't attempting to capture Naruto-kun. Ayaka's harsh words, "Just a moment, girls," made the three of them freeze. We're sorry Iancho, Misa said, grinning. With a nervous giggle, Shina said, "It seems we had a misunderstanding." Ayaka yelled angrily, "You guys are always making trouble." Madoka nervously retorted, "Iancho, you were the one who gave us orders." That's right. We've come all this way anyway, so let's go to karaoke. Cheered Shina. We can make it a birthday party for Asuna. Naruto laughed and said, "That sounds like a great idea Shina-chan." Shina blushed at the honorific. "But, what's karaoke?" The cheerleading trio screamed in scandal, "What? That's it, you're coming with us." Madoka pushed his back as Misa and Shina seized his arms. Ayaka ran after them, shouting, Hey, don't change the subject, get back here." Asuna apologized for doubting Kanoka before she and the others fled. Huh? Kanoka asked confused before she started to chase after them. Hey, I'm not sure what you mean, Asuna, so hold on, hello. According to Naruto, the karaoke party was a lot of fun. The cheerleading trio was exceptionally talented, Iancho was also good, he seemed to be pretty good, and Kanoka had a pretty majestic voice. Asuna could sing some songs well, but Negi was only mediocre. By the time the party ended, it was so late that even Chachimaru and Evangeline were no longer awake. With a weary sigh, he took a quick shower before falling into his bed for a restless night's sleep. It seems that Evangeline attempted to lock him out, but she was unprepared for the fact that Naruto was willing to tunnel his way in. What on earth is going on here? Startled, Naruto leapt from his bed, searching around for the source but failing to locate it. Moron, down here. Naruto blushed but snickered when he saw that the voice was coming from the hole he had made the night before and that Evangeline had fallen upside down, her nightgown falling up to reveal her underwear. Get me out of here, don't just stand there and laugh like a fool. When Evangeline gave him an angry order, Naruto disregarded her and swiftly created 3 shadow clones, 2 of which leapt out of the window. Naruto and the final clone then stood there and started creating numerous hand seals. Water style. Jutsu water burst. Icy wind jutsu in the wind style. Until she witnessed the water that the clone turned into ice using the original's wind jutsu, Evangeline was utterly perplexed by his use of these techniques. What are you doing? After his clone and the other 2 exploded, Naruto declared, there, with satisfaction. Now you can't escape from the hole. What? Evangeline sobbed. Naruto smiled teasingly and said, I'll get you out, Chibi-chan. All you need to do is ask Sha-chan to let me eat breakfast. Are you serious? Nope, and my clones did it to the other side too. You were wicked. You'd know. Naruto could picture her sulking. All right, Chachimaru, Naruto can have breakfast here from now on. Furthermore, I pledge on my honor as a vampire and a mage that I will not take away his privilege. Chachimaru entered the room and said, Understood, Master. Naruto, how do you like your eggs? Is it sunny side up or scrambled? Oh, you don't have to cook for me, Sha-chan, said Naruto in a condescending manner. How about I cook for you and Chibi-chan instead? Chachimaru said stoically, that is very kind of you, Naruto, but I do not eat. Well, why? I am a robot. A robot? You wouldn't happen to have been made with a dead body, would you? Inquired Naruto in a startled tone. Chachimaru responded, No, my entire body is completely my own, but he was perplexed by the inquiry. Why would you think otherwise, Naruto? Naruto casually explained, oh, I fought a guy once who had robot made out of some guy's dead body, before plunging into the hole and removing Evangeline. As she pictured transforming someone into a robot by force, Evangeline remarked, you know, I think I like your world. They sure have interesting ideas with the dead, she said. Evangeline's eyebrows shot up in surprise as Naruto explained, you have no idea. I gotta tell ya, it isn't easy fighting an entire army of immortal zombies. Never mind that, Chibi. Chan, how do you want your eggs? Evangeline said, sunny side up, instantly returning to her rough demeanor. Coming up right now. After saying this, Naruto entered the kitchen and quickly prepared some eggs for himself and Evangeline, who ate in silence while Chachimaru washed the dishes. In any case, why did you dig a hole in the center of your room? At last, Evangeline asked bitterly. You locked me out, said Naruto. No, I didn't. I told Chachimaru to make sure the door was unlocked because you would do something foolish to get in, Evangeline shot back. So why was I unable to enter? Naruto retorted. Naruto, did you attempt to turn the doorknob the other way? Chachimaru inquired. Yeah, but when I pulled on the door it still wouldn't open. You idiot, you have to push the door open from the outside, Evangeline shouted. Oh, oops. Well, look at the time, Naruto said, scratching the back of his head. I have to leave now, after all, it's a field trip today. After jumping up and setting his plate in the sink, Naruto hurried as quickly as he could to the door before remembering something. Oh, do you want me to get you anything, Chibi? Chan? Chan? The two simply gazed at him in astonishment. What are you giving? Evangeline inquired dutifully. Naruto grinned and said, I thought I'd get you something for letting me stay, which made Evangeline flush. Red-faced, Evangeline complained, just get me some Yatsuhashi, saying, I haven't had that in almost a century. Of course. You, Chan? Naruto inquired. If you can stop by Uji, I wouldn't mind if you buy me some of their green tea, Chachimaru said awkwardly. Uji? Naruto inquired. It is right between Kyoto and Nara, Evangeline said. I don't see how that will be a problem since the second day of the trip takes place in Nara anyway. Before something clicked in his mind, Naruto said, ah, I see, wait, Nara? Evangeline remarked irritably, yes, surely you've heard about it by now. No, Naruto shook his head, they obviously wouldn't be well known for deer, would they? It's really just Nara Park, but how did you find out? Evangeline raised an eyebrow in question. Friend of mine from my world was named Nara Shikamaru and his clan was great with deer, Naruto said. Anyway, I best be off. Naruto then sprinted out of the cabin and into the woods, pausing briefly to spit back at Evangeline before continuing on his way. A bullet and a needle were lying on the ground when Evangeline left her cabin and went to where Naruto had spat. Damn, and I was really trying to pay him back for getting me stuck in a hole. How the hell did he spit a needle? Evangeline said. This trip has been something I've been eagerly anticipating, to think that I'll be going to Nara and Kyoto, the ancient capital of Japan, for 5 days. School trips are wonderful. Naruto heard someone shout and noticed Negi running down the street. Naruto said, don't get ahead of yourself, kid, as he abruptly appeared beside them. Sans right, Aniki, Chamo remarked after he recovered from his shock at Naruto's unexpected appearance. We need to deliver that letter to the Kansai Magical Organization. I understand, I'm also going to visit my father's house, Negi stated resolutely. I think this trip will be the busiest I've been on since I started teaching. Me too. Since this will actually be the first thing he's done since becoming a teacher, Naruto laughed. Naruto and Negi entered the station, only to be taken aback to see Shizuna and 2 other teachers there along with some of their students. You all arrived early, Negi chuckled with joy. A pleasant, good morning, Negi. Sensei, Naruto.kun, Shizuna said. Naruto called, morning Shizuna.ne. Chan, Negi. Sensei, good morning. Naruto.kun. The class gave an enthusiastic greeting. We arrived early because we couldn't wait any longer, Ku cheerfully clarified. Negi.kun looks like he was really looking forward to the trip. Meiki was chuckling. He's like a primary schooler going on a school picnic, laughed Akira, though Naruto.kun looks just as excited. Why did you bring pillows? Yuna questioned Nodoka and Yu. When Yu said, I can't sleep with any other pillows, Nodoka muttered, I don't like changing pillows so. Akko said sweetly, it's no wonder they're best friends. They truly are 2 of a kind. Naruto grinned at the sight. but tensed up when he sensed that someone was observing them. He glanced around, but all he saw were other students, and while he understood that it might be a classmate, he couldn't figure out why it felt like they were trying to hide. Shizuna professionally called above everyone, saying, "Classes 3. A, 3. D, 3. H, 3. J, and 3. S who are going to Kyoto, please go to your homeroom teacher to be divided into groups and to take the roll call. This is 3. A, with Negi perched on his shoulder holding a small flag bearing their class number, Naruto yelled. Announcing over the speakers, the junior Shinkansen Asama 506 feet will be departing shortly. When Fuka noticed Negi perched on Naruto's shoulder, she pouted and remarked, "That looks like a lot of fun, I want to try it too." "Maybe later," Naruto commented, laughing, "but are you certain you're 15? Oni-chan has always been a little immature," Fumika confidently told him. "Hey, keep that from him." To the laughter of the class, Fuka screamed in shame, "Stabbed in the back by my own Imoudo." "How unfortunate, Fuka-chan." Misa laughed. Madoka shook her head and remarked, "Fumika-chan does seem to be having fun at Fuka-chan's expense." Negi.kun. Naruto.kun. The birthday celebration yesterday was a huge hit, Shina exclaimed with excitement. "What? Playing with the senseis is a must." Enviously, Fumika exclaimed, "That's not fair. Look who has become immature." As she sulked in jealousy, Fuka called back. "Slow down, Oni-chan, it certainly was." Negi exclaimed, "Please take me to karaoke again sometime," and Naruto, who was laughing at the twins' antics, could only nod his head in agreement. Yatsuba.san, may I have 3 Nikumen? With hunger, Akko inquired. With a pleasant tone, Satsuki stated, "That'll be 360 yen. Masora remarked, "Yatsuba.san sure knows how to make a profit." Kaide concurred, saying, "Yup, her cooking is delicious." De Gazaru. Kasuga.san, would you like some too? Nagase.san? Satomi inquired. Masora said, "Nah, I already had breakfast," and Kaide also purchased 3. Naruto.kun, how about you? With Naruto Sama's appetite, I bet I could spread Nikumen all across Europe before that time comes, Chao said, holding her own boxes of Nikumen. Naruto said sweetly, "Yeah, I haven't had these since Ino made them a year ago." Negi. Buzu, Uru, you ought to have one too. You must maintain your energy for the trip. Uru, Ku insisted. Negi said uneasily, "Thanks Kufei.san, but I have already had onigiri for breakfast." Ku-chan, I'll take another 6. Naruto called out to them. So many? Misa stammered in shock. Naruto.kun, did you not eat breakfast? Shina inquired. Yup, Naruto grinned and said, I simply have a huge appetite. And, Naruto.kun, you don't put on any weight? With jealousy, Satsuki inquired. I've always burned off the food quickly, so it's not a pound. I stay in excellent shape because of all of my martial arts training. You're a martial arts. Uru practitioner? With excitement, Ku inquired, perhaps we could play a game sometime? What about following the journey? I want to spend the time seeing the sights, asked Naruto, eager for a challenge. You're on. Uru. Naruto heard someone mutter, idiots. Naruto waved, hello to you too, Shisame-chan, and she gave him a scowl. What's her problem? He asked. Hey. Negi.kun. Naruto.kun. Please pose for a photo, Kazumi called while holding her camera, and Negi made a peace sign while Naruto grinned and struck his classic, good guy pose. Whoa. Looking at the photo, Natsumi remarked, they look like brothers. That would be a nightmare, Naruto remarked. Can you picture having a younger brother who is as stiff as this one? Ni Naruto. Negi shouted angrily. Chizuru laughed at the sight and said, oh dear. Before turning to face Naruto, Ayaka remarked, Negi. Sensei, I've rented out the entire green carriage, so let's take our time and relax in there, just the two of us I mean. Oh, Ainsho.san, I still have work to do, Negi uttered uneasily. Indeed, Ainsho, before lunch, can't you minimize the unlawful child seduction? Yuna yawned and asked. But, Ayaka let out a cry. Ayaka-chan, will you please leave Negi alone for a bit? Before bending down beside her, Naruto inquired. I want to discuss something with you later as well, okay? Forlornly but curiously, Ayaka said, alright Naruto. Sensei. Hey, Akko. How are you? Madoka inquired, observing her pallid face. Akko. Chan. When Naruto looked down, He saw that the girl appeared to be about to throw up. What's wrong? Akko muttered, too much Nikaman, through his voice. Yuna said, I'll get you some water, Akko, and hurried over to a vending machine. Sighing, Akira began to massage Akko's back and remarked, Geez, I can't believe you managed to get sick before we even left. Sorry, don't stress over it. Just get better quickly, okay? When Yuna came back with a bottle of water, Naruto remarked. Mana, who was standing beside him, remarked, You do a fantastic job as an authority figure, but your teaching abilities have not yet been tested. You won't respond to any of my inquiries just yet, will you? Not at all taken aback by her unexpected appearance, Naruto inquired. Naruto arched a skeptical eyebrow at Mana's statement, I will, for 10,000 yen apiece. Stingy. What am I supposed to say? I'm a businesswoman, Mana said, laughing at Naruto's irritated expression. No. Negi.kun. Naruto.kun. On the day of the free activity, will you join us in playing? Maki inquired eagerly. Hey, Sasaki, however, you can have Naruto. Sensei if you'd like. Negi. Sensei is taken, I mean he's busy that day, Ayaka interrupted. I'm so happy. That day is going to be so much fun. Naruto didn't have the courage to tell her that he hadn't yet promised to go, but Maki cried out and gave him an enthusiastic hug. Get moving, Nodoka. This is your chance. Simply ask him if he wants to go out with you on the day of the free activity. I'm sure Negi Sensei wouldn't turn you down, Haruna muttered. Nodoka pressed her fingers together nervously and said, but, Naruto. Sensei is there. Don't worry about Naruto. Sensei, you said, sipping turkey and grape juice, adding, Kanoka said he's very nice and wouldn't bother you a bit. Yeah. Weary, Nodoka inquired. Yup, Haruna replied, grinning mischievously, and he's really attractive. Thus, perhaps I can convince Naruto.kun to accompany me if Negi Sensei agrees to accompany you. Using a book, Yu struck her head, saying, Stop saying unnecessary things. Haruna rubbed her bump and remarked, as expected of you. Sama, damn you hit hard you. The greeting was, Morning Naruto, Asuna said. Asuna. Chan, good morning. Negi, did you eat enough? Asuna inquired. Yeah? After responding, Negi turned to Kanoka and said, Thank you for the onigiri. It tasted great. I'm glad you like them, Kanoka said with a naive smile. I made you some to Naruto.kun if you're hungry. Ayaka growled in jealousy, but no one took notice. Well? Really? Many thanks, Kanoka. Chan. Before consuming each one in a single bite, Naruto uttered those words. How much did you eat this morning? Geez Naruto.kun. As she observed him eating, Chao inquired. Let's see, 2 eggs sunny side up, 4 pieces of toast, a glass of orange juice, a quick bowl of miso ramen, 15 nikamen and 3 onigiri. And you're not ill? Akko asked, turning pale at the thought. Naruto chuckled and said, Nope. I suppose you could say I have a monster in my belly. Alright, Naruto.ni, what are the groups thus far? Negi remained on Naruto's shoulder as she asked. We'll see. Group 1. Sakurako Shina, Kujimaya Madoka, Kakazaki Misa, and Narutaki Fuka and Fumika. The second group consists of Ku-Fei, Hakase Satomi, Nagase Kaide, Yatsuba Satsuki, and Chao Lingshin. Yukihiro Ayaka, Hasagawa Chisame, Murakami Natsumi, Naba Chizoru, and Asakura Kazumi make up Group 3. Tatsumi Amana, Izumi Akko, Akasha Yuna, Sasaki Maki, and Okochi Akira make up Group 4. Ace Yu, Kagarazaka Asuna, Kano Kanoka, Saotome Haruna, and Miyazaki Nodoka make up Group 5. Negi chuckled and thought, what a busy class, before realizing, wait, shouldn't there be one more group? A voice called out to them, Negi. Sensei, Naruto. Sensei, and they turned to see Zazie Rainy Day and Sakurazaki Setsuna, who was carrying a very long bag, standing there as members of the missing group. Ah, Sakurazaki.san, Zazie.san, Negi responded. There you are. Naruto said pleasantly, good morning to you, Zazie. Chan, your canary is very pretty. Really? You were walking to the station when she suddenly flew to you? Naruto asked amazed, though nowhere near as amazed as the class for understanding Zazie. As he finally put Negi down. Can I hold her? Okay. Naruto said, thanks, Zazie. Chan, and extended his finger as a perch for her. The bird hopped on his finger right away and chirped sweetly, so Naruto surreptitiously collected some natural energy and listened to the bird's chirp. Here you go, Zazie. Chan. Her previous master just died from old age, so she wants to stay with you, Naruto explained, much to everyone's confusion, as the bird hopped back to Zazie's finger. She found you when she was flying around in sadness, and your aura felt very comfortable for her. Oh, and Setsuko is her name. Hello Setsuko, Zazie said, grinning slightly, and Setsuko gave a quiet reply. One aspect of becoming a sage is to bridge the gap between man and nature, even though Naruto was unaware of this when he first began training in Senjutsu. Naruto discovered that he could understand what an animal was saying if it opened its heart to him. Jiraiya never had the opportunity to fully pursue his sage training because he was constantly preoccupied with his research, his spy network, the Akatsuki, war, and Orochimaru. Naruto was fortunate to be able to make significant progress in his training because of his time in England, where not much else was going on. In fact, he was able to avoid being captured on the same day as Killer Bee because of his ability to understand animals that could not speak in human language. I am meant to be Group 6 a leader, Setsuna explained, eyeing Naruto suspiciously, coughing softly to regain their attention. But, Evangeline.san and Chachimaru.san are both absent, so Group 6 is really just me and Zazie.san. How do we proceed, Negi? Sensei. I see, that is a problem, Negi muttered reflectively. I know. Why don't the two of you join another organization? Whispering, you should have known Chibi, Chan and Shaw. Chan wouldn't be coming, Naruto said. Chamo muttered, it's not like it was even a choice for Evangeline, concurring. Negi muttered back in embarrassment, I forgot, and then addressed Setsuna and Zazie in a normal voice. Alright, Sakurazaki.san. I'll put you in Asuna. San's group. Iancho.san. May I leave Zazie.san in your care? No issue, Asuna said, unintentionally giving Negi Naruto's signature thumbs up pose. I don't mind Negi. Sensei, said Ayaka. With a fake smile, Kanoka remarked, Say. Chan, it appears that we belong to the same group. Naruto noticed the momentary longing in her eyes and said, Say, Chan huh? There is something going on between Setsuna and Kanoka. Chan, but I wonder what? Setsuna glanced at her for a moment before turning away and leaving without hesitation or second thought. If there was one thing Naruto detested, it was a fake smile, so he was determined to find out what it was. As she sat comfortably on the school roof, Evangeline sighed happily. I bet they're already on the Shinkansen by now, she told herself. Standing next to her, Chachimaru remarked, it's a shame you can't go on the school trip, master. Hey, what does it's a shame mean to you? The more time spent away from Naruto. Sama, the better. I never wanted to travel with that brat. Robotically, Chachimaru explained, it's just that you looked like you really wanted to go, was I wrong? What a fool. But more importantly, why didn't you go yourself? Evangeline reprimanded severely. Don't you want to go? No, I'd much rather be by master's side as usual. Whoa, in amazement, Naruto remarked, the last train I ever saw was steam-powered. I just can't get over the technology of this place. Really? I can't even imagine something like that, Asuna inquired with interest. Yeah, Naruto replied. I got to tell you though, that thing was damn hard to outrun. You told me you were faster than a train? Asuna questioned doubtfully. Yes. I had to pursue my foolish client Kazuhana Koyuki after she attempted to flee, Naruto explained. The foolish girl believed she could simply flee her issues. What issues? Asuna inquired with interest. As a child, her father was assassinated, but she was the princess of her nation. She fled to become one of the most well-known actresses in the world after her despotic uncle took control. My group served as her bodyguards when she was made to return for a movie. Anyway, she just wanted to die, so I had to carry her out when the train arrived right as we were in the tunnel. Being 13 years old and carrying a 20-2-year-old woman is not easy. How amazing is it that you've met a real princess? Astonished, Asuna asked. 3. Naruto declared with pride. All right, everybody, it's almost time for the 15th annual school trip. Before Asuna could respond, Shizuna said, please take advantage of these 5 days and 4 nights. All right. Everyone gave a collective cheer. Negi clarified, I think it'll be a fun trip for everyone because there will be a lot of free time for the groups. Please try not to get hurt, get lost, or cause trouble for anyone else. You all need to be accountable to yourself. You should be especially careful not to get hurt. A lunch cart ran over Negi, illustrating his concern. Bento, I'm very sorry, surprised, the attendant said. Negi, you are aware that you didn't need to suffer harm in order to make your point? As he lifted the boy, Naruto uttered those words. Sheesh, will he be alright? Asuna asked, laughing nervously. Oh, that seems like a lot of fun. What game are you playing? When Negi saw some of the girls playing a card game, he inquired, and Naruto appeared intrigued as well. This game involves trading cards. They're popular these days. As Yuna fought Haruna, she clarified. You engage in a magic duel in this game. As she crushed Shina, Yu clarified. Moo, no fair you. As she presented one of her rare cards, Shina sobbed. Hi, Shina. Chan. Do you mind if I play a game? I think I get the gist of this game, Naruto said, peering over the seat. Just if you can get Yu to give me back my rare card. Hey, Roger. I swear you'll receive a ton of cards from you, and I never break my word. Naruto grinned and gave a mock salute. Then, Naruto.kun, beat her for me. Shina cheered before kissing him on the cheek, for luck. As Akko observed the duel between Meiki and Fuka, she reprimanded Meiki, saying, Don't get distracted, Meiki. Play that card. Avoid telling them. This match is very significant. Meiki gave a nervous reprimand. Oni. Chan. That one, have a go at that. Fumika gave the order. Well, however, that's where this card is meant to go. In response, Fuka played her intended card. Meiki sighed, I lost. Look at Fumika. You must improve your knowledge of the game. Fuka reprimanded the depressed Fumika. And, this is the third game in 5 minutes, Yu muttered in shock, I lost. Shina pulled her eyelid down and protruded her tongue as Naruto apologized. Sorry Yu. Chan, but I'm really good at these types of things for some reason. As Naruto won for the 4th time, Negi chuckled and said, Ahahaha, Naruto.ni really seems to be enjoying himself. Ace.san doesn't look very happy though. Hey. Hello. Aniki. Keep your focus. Chamo reprimanded, you must be aware of your surroundings. Well, what are you saying? Confused, Negi asked. Have you not heard the elderly man? He said there could be spies from the west, or people trying to cause trouble for us on the way. Chamo clarified sharply, you never know. What? Spy? Negi let out a startled gasp. When Naruto abruptly appeared next to them and said, He's right you know. Negi and Chamo both jumped in surprise but soon enough shook themselves out of it. When Chamo said, I thought you were still playing Ni.san. After pointing to the sullen Yu and joyfully dancing Shina, Naruto declared, Yu. Chan's out of good cards, and the two proceeded to the next compartment to see if there was any strange activity. Alright. The spell of flames will be used on you to score 5 points, Yuna exclaimed joyfully. You got me. I've passed away. Haruna sobbed piteously, damn, and with my horrible frog perdition card, I was slowly but surely killing you, foolish frogs. Alright. Yuna said avaricious, I'll be taking your rare card and those 5 chocolates you wagered. Haruna pouted and took the box with them, but when she opened it, she was caught off guard. A frog was sitting inside. What? Haruna said stupidly, but jumped back in shock when it hopped out. Kya. F. Frog. Yuna let out a gasp. W. What took place? Asuna asked uneasily, but she was startled to see a frog on Yuna's head. A frog? Shizuna immediately passed out as a horde of frogs jumped out of her thermos, and Fumika squeaked when a bunch emerged from her bento. Kya. The collective scream attracted the attention of Negi, Chamo, and Naruto. Aniki. Ni.san. Chamo dialed. Those yells? Negi sobbed. The girls made those. They were startled to see an entire army of frogs hopping around everywhere after Naruto called and hurried back to the compartment. Why are all of these frogs in this place? Negi sobbed while attempting to apprehend them. They suddenly materialized from Haruna's box. Asuna clarified while attempting to apprehend them as well. Negi.kun, Naruto.kun, assist. Meiki let out a cry of disgust. Negi thought quickly, a frog explosion. Could this be magic? So, someone really is trying to sabotage us. Calling upon Jutsu. To Negi's surprise, Naruto called, and a tiny orange toad in a green jacket emerged along with a little explosion of smoke. Naruto. G.san. The toad exclaimed with excitement. Be quiet. Gameson, don't be so noisy. I need your assistance to defeat these frogs, but you are not visible or audible, Naruto said softly. Sen, do you understand? Gameson muttered, sure, and hurried into the battle, knocking out the frogs without anyone noticing. Naruto knew it was a good idea to get something that could fight on the same height as those frogs because it would be difficult to try to catch them otherwise. Holding them in a bag, Ku chuckled and said, We've managed to capture 108 of the frogs. Although I thought I saw an orange one a couple of times. Aru. Shizuna. Sensei passed out, panicked, Maki said. Assign her to the care of the health committee officer. Negi gave the order. Naruto also gave a swift order. Round everyone up and do an emergency roll. Call Ayaka, making sure that nobody left the compartment, you get it? Why? Yes, sir. Ayaka let out a startled squeak. The officer on the health committee also passed out. Asuna let out a cry. Put them on the chairs. Avoid attempting to rouse them, as the shock could be detrimental to them. Make sure they're comfortable until they wake up, Naruto ordered. Yes, sir. The class gave a salute and promptly followed instructions. It's absolutely correct. The Kansai Magic Association created this. This is the sort of thing they do, Shamo stated gravely. But, why frogs? Nervously, Negi asked. Delay and distraction are to tell us that they can get under our guard if they choose to, Naruto said with seriousness. Ah. Negi said and started to pat his coat down. Huh? It's gone. I no longer have the letter the principal gave me. What? Together, Shamo and Naruto yelled. Negi said, Oh, it was in my bottom pocket, and took it out. Aniki, don't frighten us like that. They were briefly relieved when a swift creature flew in and grabbed the letter out of Negi's hand, but Shamo reprimanded them. Oh, a bird. As it flew out of the compartment, Negi yelled. As they pursued, Negi, Shamo, and Naruto thought in unison, damn. They've got the letter. Wait. As the three passed her, Asuna sobbed. Asuna. You make sure that everyone is still present, over his shoulder, Naruto called. Asuna.san, Kanoka.san, and Sakurazaki.san from your group are missing, Ayaka stated gravely. Say. Chan? Kanoka inquired uneasily. Hi there, please return that, Negi insisted. Don't use logic with it. When Naruto screamed and hurled two kunai at it, the bird swerved past them without even slowing down. Aniki, Ni.san has the right idea. A Shikigami, that is, Shamo clarified. Shikigami? Together, Naruto and Negi posed the question. Yes, in Japan, this type magic is well known. That thing is just paper, Shamo remarked. In essence, it is identical to a paper golem. Get your fucking staff out, Negi. My jutsu that can stop that thing is way too gaudy, and all of my other jutsus would be useless, Naruto growled in full commander mode. Naruto.ni, don't be alarmed. Since that duel with Evangeline.san, I've discovered a lot, Negi clarified. Well done. Whoever is in charge of that must be nearby, Shamo uttered those words. All right. Negi agreed and he pulled out a wand with the planet Saturn on it. Ross telephone ma scir. Bento. Kaya. When the boy she ran over and a blonde cutie almost collided with her again, the attendant cried out in disbelief. I apologize for that, Naruto called as he pulled Negi out of the way. Damn, it reached a populated region. To avoid suspicion, Negi and Naruto had to grudgingly put their weapons away. When the bird eventually reached the end of the compartment, it saw Sakurazaki Setsuna with a long sword. Setsuna quickly cut it down without even damaging the letter. Hold on. The trio apparently missed the breathtaking use of the sword, as Negi called and was startled to see Setsuna holding his letter. Negi. Sensei? Naruto. Sensei? Setsuna. Would you mind sharing the letter with us? Naruto inquired courteously. So, is it yours? Stoically, Setsuna asked. Yeah, this is a very important letter for me. Negi uttered those words. Setsuna assured him, then by all means, and gave him the letter. Sakurazaki.san. Thank you. We were saved there by you. Negi let out a happy cry. It would be wise to be careful, Negi. Sensei, Naruto. Sensei, especially when we arrive on the other side, Setsuna murmured. If you'll excuse me. Negi scratched the back of his head and said, thank you, as Setsuna left. Hey, Aniki, for what are you thanking her? That girl is extremely suspicious, Shamo muttered. You should watch her closely. What are you saying? Negi returned the whisper. Just look at her, Aniki, Shamo said plainly. And you'll see that it's that same fucking bird we were just chasing if you look down. It must have been under her control. Then, she could be a Western spy, Shamo said. No way, seat number 15 Sakurazaki Setsune's spy from the West. Yelled Negi, startled. Nope, you're wrong, Shamo, Naruto acknowledged. What? Ni.san. How can you say that? Don't you see how suspicious she is? Shamo asked wearily. Yes, said Naruto, and that's precisely why I know she's not a spy. Negi stated, I'm afraid I don't follow Naruto.ni, but it was clear that he hoped Naruto was correct. What is the job of a spy, please? Naruto inquired. Infiltration, theft or prevention of plans, and possibly assassination, noted Chamo at once. All right, Naruto replied. Now tell me how you can act in such a way when people are wary of you. A spy must be a normal-looking person who doesn't stand out and must have a kind of warmth that makes people trust them, Negi and Chamo said, simply staring at him without responding. Setsuna has alienated us by being extremely cold, and her suspicious looking bag makes her look out of the ordinary. Naruto firmly stated, I am positive she is not a spy, but there is more going on with her than we know. Chamo remarked, you seem to know a lot about spies, Ni-san. I took over my godfather's spy network after he died, Naruto stated. I've met more spies than you've met students. Yes, it has. A voice from below said, and Naruto looked down to see Gamison standing there. Yo Naruto, G.san. Hey Sen. Naruto returned the greeting, setting the tiny toad atop his head. As we return to our compartment, how about I explain the situation? Finally saying, and, that's how it is, Naruto sat down in the compartment again. Gamison nodded and said, yeah, I completely agree with Naruto. G.san. Sakura.san is just too obvious to be a spy. Why? You genuinely believe that? With relief, Negi inquired. Yup, Naruto repeated. Anyway, Sen, how are Bunta and Kichi doing? Ah, Dad and Gramps are fine, but they were a bit worried about what happened to you, Gamison replied quickly. Anyway, Gramps is thinking about retiring soon and leaving it up to Dad to be the new boss. Oh, it's about damn time. Express my pride in Kichi, Naruto uttered those words. It will work, see you, Naruto. G.san, Chamo.kun, and Negi.kun. The remainder of the journey was mercifully uneventful, and before they knew it, they were nearly at the station. Gamison said this before vanishing in a cloud of smoke. The locomotive engineer said over the intercom, please make sure you don't forget your bags or any other personal items you brought with you as we will be arriving in Kyoto shortly. Please prepare to disembark, everyone, Negi declared to his students. Well, already? I'm shocked, Masora said, having dozed off during the ride and missed all of the panic. That was quick. Natsumi concurred. At last, we're reaching Kyoto. We might actually be able to find some clues about the Thousand Master now, Negi said with satisfaction. Well, Negi.kun, what was that? Kanoka appeared behind him and asked. Hey, don't worry about it, Kanoka-chan, Naruto said, shoving Negi. You two have become very close, Kanoka laughed and said, it's very cute. Of course I am, Naruto replied, grinning cheekily. Oh you. Negi saw that Setsuna was glaring at them with resentment, and Kanoka gave him a quick slap on the arm. Negi asked himself uneasily, Sakurazaki.san, are you certain she isn't a spy? Naruto.ni, she seems really upset for some reason. Negi.kun, we're here, together, Meiki, Fuka, and Fumika cheered. Yes, indeed. Apologies, Negi said uneasily. Naruto teasingly said, head out of the clouds Otuto. All right, everybody, we're heading to Kyoto, Negi shouted, enthusiastically pumping his arm. Yes, Meiki, Fuka, and Fumika enthusiastically concurred. Everyone readily agreed, with the exception of Chisame, when Kazumi suggested that we take a photo to remember the occasion. You can take the photo, can't you, Nida? Sensei? After the photo was taken, they finally reached their first destination, Kiyomizu Temple, where Naruto stood in the back beside Asuna and Mana, with Fuka and Fumika each perched on one of his shoulders. Kyoto OU. Shina pumped her fist in celebration. The location where you jump off must be here. I am aware of this, Yuna exclaimed with delight. Someone tries to jump off. Kaide said, okay then, with Naruto. Cease that. Ayaka yelled in frustration, Naruto. Sensei, you ought to be leading by example for your students. However, it appears to be enjoyable, Ayaka-chan, to the amusement of the class, Naruto complained. Stupid, Chisame thought sourly. Isn't this the renowned Kiyomizu stage at Kiyomizu Main Temple? They use it for dancing and performing no plays in honor of the Buddhist god Kannon. Sama, you said simply. It is now recognized as a national treasure. I'm going to jump off the Kiyomizu stage, is a legendary phrase that originated here. 230. 4 cases of people actually jumping off were documented during the Edo period. The survival rate was 85%, which is surprisingly high, isn't it? Whoa, she's crazy. Yuna uttered the words in disbelief. I had no chance of remembering even half of that. Ever, Naruto nodded, his eyes wide. It can't be helped. Haruna chuckled. You really loves those statues of Buddha from the shrines so. Madoka remarked, ah, what nice weather, while stretching. You're correct. Misa agreed readily. Hey, you ought to snap a photo of this, Asakura. I've already done. Kazumi gave a thumbs up in response. Many of the girls turned red at the sight of Naruto's mature, composed face as he leaned on the railing and let the wind gently blow into his face. Man, what a sight, Naruto said. Wow. From up here, you can see the entire city. The girls instantly went from blushing to laughing when Negi yelled in astonishment. Hi, Negi. Naruto dragged the boy off the railing after Asuna reprimanded him, saying, it's okay to have fun, but don't fall over the side. I'm so happy Negi. Sensei is having fun, with a loving look at the boy, Ayaka said. Akira grinned slightly and remarked, ah, this breeze does feel nice. Setsuko. Chan seems to be having fun, don't you think so, Zazie.san? As she observed birds flying around, Satsuki inquired. Yes, Zazie cheerfully replied. Oh, I see. You can find a fortune. Telling location for your romantic life if you venture a bit farther. The ladies really like it, you clarified. Well? With hearts in her eyes, Meiki shouted. Are you a fan of fortune telling? With excitement, Ayaka said. Let's go together, Negi. Sensei. Stuttering, Negi said, S. Sure, oh, I'd like to attend. Meiki exclaimed with joy. You said, we'll go as well, and she took a blushing Nodoka's hand to drag her along. For some reason, Chizoru's smile made Naruto shiver. Let's go to Naruto.kun, she said. Oh. Okay Chizuru. Chan, just below where those stone steps are the famous Ottawa waterfall, you went on to say. If you drink from those 3 streams, you'll stay healthy, do well in school, and even get married. Are you married? Together, the girls cried out, that's it? Leave, Negi.kun, please, as she pushed him along with the twins, Meiki said. Chizuru pushed a displeased Naruto along, Misa, Shina, Chao, and Kaide following closely behind. You too Naruto.kun, she said. Oh, you guys, Meiki.san. No flirting, I mean, group activities should be, Ayaka exclaimed in surprise. Negi.kun. Naruto.kun. There, once they were down the street, the girls cheered and ran, and Meiki shouted, pointing to her right. Please don't run too quickly. This place is really pleasant, isn't it? Negi called back before turning to face Chamo and Naruto. Yeah, but that's Kyoto for you, Chamo remarked as he enjoyed the sun's warmth. These old wooden buildings are amazing, Negi remarked, grinning a little. Naruto laughed and put the child in a headlock, saying, that is such an old man thing to say Negi. Hey, oi, you two, don't let your guard down, you know, we're on the enemy's home field. Even if Sakurazaki isn't a spy, which I still believe she is. Enemies are still hiding everywhere, Chamo called. Negi.kun. Hurry up, Naruto.kun. This is the stone that predicts your romantic life, Meiki called from the top of the stairs. Meiki. Chan, we're coming. When they got to the top, their girls were gathered around a few rocks, observing them with reverence. Naruto said, but he wasn't really looking forward to this. So, let me get this straight, Naruto said, glancing at the 2 rocks, you'll succeed in love if you can move from one rock to the other without opening your eyes. Yes. You stated unequivocally. It appears to be at least 20 meters, wow. Negi cried out in astonishment. Ayaka attempted to maintain her composure and distance, but she failed miserably. Well, as I insho I shall, she said. Oh, it's unfair, and I'm going. Meiki shot back. Me too, shuddered Nodoka. I'll go as well, a smiling Chizuru said. It's Chizu.ne, right? Does that mean you have Sam? Inquired Natsumi. A woman must always think about her future Natsumi. Chan, Chizuru interrupted, blushing slightly, but with a smile that Ayaka and Natsumi understood meant that if they attempted to contradict anything, they might suffer the consequences. Naturally, Chizu.ne. Natsumi gave a little squeak. You 4, go for it. Yuna gave a cheer. Nodoka, don't do that. Unintentionally turning to the left, Haruna yelled. I got Meiki for 50 yen. Misa shouted. Ainsho is worth 100 yen, Fuka yelled. Give Chizuru.uru 150 yen, Ku declared. Shina, would you mind spending 500 yen on Nodoka? Chan for me? Given that the girl was placing the wagers, Naruto inquired. Shina exclaimed, "You got it, Naruto-kun," pleased that her future husband was, in her imagination, prepared to take a chance. Chamo whispered, "Aniki, Sakurazaki is missing," so that no one could hear, especially Naruto. "What?" Negi hurriedly glanced around before answering, "You're right." Hoo. Ayaka thought gravely, "I feel bad for Maki-san, Miyazaki-san, and Shizu-ne, but for someone like me who is trained in the various martial arts, this won't even be a challenge, now to use my ultimate technique. Yukihiro Ayaka style. Mind's Eye of Love Jutsu. By using this strong, enigmatic method, Ayaka was able to peek, that is, find out not just where she was but also where she was headed. "The target has been reached. I'm going for it," Ayaka declared as she ran directly toward the stone. "Oh, what is that? That's not fair, Ainsho," Maki said, reflexively opening her left eye. "That is unfair. You did peek, did you not?" With one eye open, Maki shouted as she ran alongside her. "Hooray! I would never do that. This is to make sure that my relationship with a certain teacher whose name begins with a and is successful," Ayaka denied. Chizuru laughed as she followed them, her left eye slightly open, saying, "I had no idea you felt that way about Nida. Sensei Ayaka-chan." "What?" Startled, Ayaka said, "I don't like elderly men like Asuna-san Shizu-ne." "That's what I heard," Asuna shouted in rage while blushing. When the class as a whole said, "It's true anyway," Asuna pouted, but when she saw Ayaka, Chizuru, and Maki fall into a pit trap, her pout turned into a smirk. "What the fuck?" As she attempted to separate herself from the two sexy girls, Maki screamed. "Frogs!" As they leapt onto her underwear, Chizuru let out a scream. "Never again!" Ayaka let out a scream. "What took place?" Yuna laughed as she asked. "I'm not sure." As Asuna assisted in removing her, Ayaka screamed, "Who would set up a pit trap here?" "Chizuru-chan, are you okay?" As he lifted her and held her bridal style, Naruto posed the question. With a deep red flush, Chizuru said, I'm fine and Naruto-kun." Naruto grinned and said, "That's good, I wouldn't want you to get hurt." Chizuru could only blush deeply and stare at him in a daze. "How are you, Maki-san?" As he assisted her in pulling herself out, Negi inquired. "Negi-kun, help me. How slimy these frogs are." When Maki cried, Negi eventually dragged her away. When Naruto called out, "Hold on Maki-chan," he removed a frog from her head and said, "Looks like you had an extra passenger." "Many thanks, Negi-kun. Naruto-kun." Negi didn't care about that at the moment. He had other thoughts. Maki cheered and embraced them both, ignoring the glares she was receiving from most of the class. Could the Kansai Magical Organization have also been involved in this? Negi wondered anxiously. Naruto jumped when he heard Nodoka sigh with relief and grabbed the stone, saying, "Gee, goal." Shina-chan. Nodoka-chan prevailed. "The pool is mine," Naruto shouted. "Eh?" The students screamed. "Naruto-kun, that is unfair," Misa yelled. "Yes, but how could we be certain that the others would tumble into a hole?" Fuka countered. Ku sulked, I lost Dadaru. After taking their money and leaping to the love rock, Naruto remarked, "Tough luck," bending down to Nodoka's eye level and saying, "Thanks for the help, Nodoka-chan." Nodoka bowed and stammered, Why, you're welcome Naruto. Sensei, attempting to suppress her fright. "Well, whatever the case may be, I wish you the best of luck with your intended," Naruto said, patting her head and grinning like a fox. "Keep up the good work and I'm sure it'll work out." Nodoka smiled slightly and said, "He is really very kind and not scary like other men." "Look at Hanya. I don't you Naruto-kun was very kind," Kanoka said with a laugh. Yu looked tiredly at their new assistant teacher and attempted to assess him. She couldn't help but notice that Naruto exuded a lot of warmth and security. It's as if his presence alone makes you feel much safer, which she thinks will be ideal for helping Nodoka overcome her fear of older men. She didn't really expect there to be any attraction because he had recently lost his girlfriend, but he did appear to have some attraction to some of the girls in the class, and his eyes were friendly and showed genuine happiness for Nodoka's success. "Ainsho, what the devil were you doing? Are you certain that this isn't a form of divine retribution for dishonesty? Or perhaps retribution for mocking other people's romantic relationships?" Asuna smirked and asked. "I wasn't being unfaithful," Ayaka denied. "Perhaps it's because my eyes were half open," Maki said, striking the pose of scratching the back of her head. "Me too," acknowledged Chizuru. What sort of divine retribution does man create? Ayaka inquired. Negi thought uneasily. Sakurazaki-san, she's looking this way again. Yes, indeed. Asuna said dismissively, get yourself together and we'll visit the Ottawa waterfall. Kanoka giggled and held Naruto-kun's hand, which she had taken when she dragged him back to Negi and Asuna. Let's hurry up Naruto-kun, she said. He'd be damned if Naruto had more power over Negi than he did. There really is something suspicious about her, Shamo whispered, making sure Naruto couldn't hear him. Whoa! Take a look at that crowd. Yuna exclaimed in awe. You? Yes. Which is which? With excitement, Fumika asked. You said, from right to left, their health, career and school, and marriage, quite textbook, like. The one on the left, as she extended a cup, Akko cheered. Oh, I also want some. Fumika shouted. Hey everyone, hold on. Let's get in a line. As she attempted to cut through and fill her own cup, Ayaka reprimanded her. Negi's words, everyone, please do not inconvenience the public, were ineffective. Yummy. One more cup. Yuna exclaimed as she savored the beverage, which was incredibly delicious. Phew. What is this stuff? Meiki, who was enjoying the drink, asked with an odd flush. It seems like it works pretty well. Is this the taste of miracles? Ayaka inquired, but she noticed that her vision was becoming hazy for some reason. Nodoka muttered, if I drink a lot, maybe it'll be extra effective, as she attempted to walk further but discovered that she was unable to do so. Negi wrote absently, Sakurazaki-san is missing again, beginning to trust Shamo more than his surrogate, Ni-san. Hello, Aniki. This looks awful, Shamo yelled while glancing at the girls. With a drop of perspiration, Yu said, it seems they're all dead drunk. Ainsho, take control of yourself, Asuna said, attempting to rouse the girl. Negi let out a startled scream. The fact that all of the girls simply passed out in that manner shocked Naruto, who couldn't blame him because he hadn't anticipated this one either. He was particularly shocked to see Zazie, Setsuko, and Chizuru pass out intoxicated. The waterfalls have sake on top of them. When Naruto checked the top, Negi said, who would do such a thing? Do you smell wine, After he passed the falls, Nida-sensei inquired. Naruto said, seems someone spiked the falls, and the sober students became alarmed. What? Nida shouted angrily. What? Naruto inquired. If something like this is going to occur, we must immediately cancel the trip, Nida shouted angrily. To everyone's surprise, Naruto said simply, nope, adding, the trip will continue. I'm afraid you don't have that kind of authority Naruto-san, Nida scowled. Like I give a damn about that, Naruto shot back, shocking everyone. I've done a lot of things that aren't within my authority, and I'll keep doing that. Therefore, the trip should be cancelled because the waterfalls were spiked by someone who may not even be a student. Sabotage a group of students' opportunity to enjoy themselves outside of the school premises for once. I don't care if you act like a high-ranking bastard and act like a complete and utter jackass. My class and I will remain. Go, leave this place. I don't give a damn. You might lose your job if you talk to me like this, with a severe scowl, Nida said, and the students all gulped in anxiety. All right. I'll just get another job or go live in the woods, Naruto stated calmly. The headmaster had told him that he could tell Naruto wasn't a pushover, but he didn't expect him to ignore such threats, so Nida just stared at him in disbelief. He truly is that bad of a guy, but he absolutely hates it when people challenge his authority. To everyone's surprise, Nida simply glared and stalked away. What are you waiting for? Nida called back, we need to get these kids to the hotel so they can sleep off. Well, Class 3. Members who weren't intoxicated yelled. What did you do? Asuna questioned Naruto in awe. Naruto shrugged, I have no idea, adding, my argument didn't even make sense. As she watched everyone from the roof, Setsuna said gravely, it looks like I have no choice. There's no misunderstanding, Sakurazaki, that damned one must be. I don't care what Ni-san says, Shamo said to Negi. Negi began, it is a bit weird, but, Negi, hello. Asuna called as she entered the room with Naruto. When Negi said, Asuna-san, Ni-san, she stammered. We finally managed to get all of the drunk students to their rooms, Naruto murmured with relief. It was such a pain carrying all of them to Arashiyama. What's happening, Negi? It's been one thing after another all day, Asuna said, irritated. Hold on. You mean you kept the situation from Asuna-chan? Startled, Naruto said, I assumed you were aware? Asuna said harshly, no, I wasn't told anything. Negi, spill. Negi did exactly that, telling her about the letter, the rivalry between Kansai and Kanto, and how the class was singled out because of him. So, some strange magic organization from Kansai is targeting our class. Asuna let out a startled gasp before gathering herself. Another magic-related catastrophe, huh? I'm sorry, Asuna-san, Negi said. I guess I can help you out again, Asuna replied with a grin. I can't leave taking care of you all up to Naruto. I am against torture after all. I'm sorry for being a hassle, Negi said, bending down and beginning to draw circles on the floor with her index finger. Asuna exclaimed, geez, I was only kidding Negi, while perspiring. Naruto whispered, he can be uptight, and Asuna had to suppress her laughter. Hey. Hello. And San. Are you familiar with Sakurazaki Setsuna? I think she's a spy, Chamo inquired. Chamo, how many times must I explain that Setsuna is not a spy? Angrily, Naruto inquired. However, whenever one of the events occurred, she was never present, Chamo shot back. All right. You damn Ermin can believe whatever you want, but I'm going to tell you, I told you so, when you're mistaken, Naruto shouted. Is Sakurai a spy? Asuna pondered. Well, I heard she was Setsuna's childhood friend, but as far as I know, they've never spoken to each other. Hold on, if she was Kanoka.ne, Chan's childhood friend, then that means, Chamo muttered in startled realization. Ah, regarding that, wait a minute, Negi uttered as he dug into his backpack and took out his class dossier. Look there. Negi was pointing to a word beneath Setsuna's name when Naruto turned to follow him. Look, it says, Kyoto. Right there, Negi exclaimed, startled. She is from Kyoto, then, Chamo said, comforted. Oh, then that implies, Negi began. Without a doubt. I'm Sakurazaki Setsuna, Chamo cut in. In all seriousness, Naruto concluded, completely innocent. What? Together, Chamo, Asuna, and Negi posed the question. Get moving. In a sense, Setsuna is wearing a sign that reads, I am a spy. No spy anywhere would be this obvious, Naruto remarked. Believe me? Negi. Sensei, Naruto.kun, it's almost time for the staff members to finish their baths, Shizuna remarked from the doorway. Oh, we appreciate Shizuna.ne.san reminding us. I need to get the stench of sake off of me, Naruto called. We'll discuss this during free activity time since Group 5's bath is almost over, Asuna inquired. Negi said, oh. Okay Asuna.san, in agreement. Chamo said, sure thing and.san, without hesitation. Go ahead and register that, Naruto gave a salute. As Negi leaned against a rock in an outdoor bath, he exclaimed, this is incredible. Is this what they call an open-air bath? Nice, huh? With a sigh of relaxation, Naruto remarked, I haven't been in one since Ero. Sennin passed away. Who? Chamo inquired. My godfather. Oh. Chamo replied, it's too bad we have to worry about Sakurazaki being an enemy. She's not a spy. So you say, Chamo murmured. If she is an enemy though Aniki is in trouble by himself since he wouldn't stand a chance against her Shikigami and sword style. She'd kill him before he could ever chant a spell. Have you ever considered learning how to fight without the use of magic, Sheesh? It seems like you were at a major disadvantage by yourself, Naruto said, shaking his head. What? Abruptly, Chamo exclaimed, there's someone entering. Is this teacher another man? Then again, it wasn't. It was Sakurazaki Setsuna, seat number 15, naked. Naruto didn't know whether to be grateful or angry at Negi, who apparently made things like this happen all the time, but he knew that he had to turn away because he knew what would happen to him if he was caught spying in the bath. He's also not Jiraiya. Naruto tried to turn away as he thought, Ero. Sennin would kill me if he found out that my first open-air bath without him not only turned out to be mixed, but also got a young pretty girl when all he could get were monkeys, men, and old women. What's happening? Why do both men and women lead here when their entrances are different? Negi stammered. Aniki, it's a mixed bath. Without even attempting to conceal his gaze, Chamo whispered. Well, she's short, but isn't she gorgeous? As he observed Setsuna, Negi remarked, her skin is so white. Chamo clarified, she's what you call the ideal Japanese woman, Aniki. What on earth are you two up to? Naruto muttered angrily, stop snooping on you, Ero, Gaki. He's correct. Now is the time for a sneak attack, Chamo muttered. Chamo, I'm not harming her pointlessly, harshly, Naruto said. How troublesome, Setsuna said without thinking. If Negi. Sensei really is a mage, then I should take some action, but I'm not sure what to do with Naruto. Sensei, he doesn't seem like a mage to me. Gazing intently at Setsuna, Naruto wondered, how does she know that? Could I have been mistaken? Perhaps things are different in this world when it comes to spies? As Negi took out his wand and got ready to cast a strong spell, Naruto pondered. An aura of ill intent. Setsuna thought abruptly and snatched up her sword, leaping to her feet and running to the source of the feeling. Who's there? Negi wondered as he hurried to find cover. Did she notice me? And Naruto.ni just disappeared? You can't escape. Zangon Ken is Shimeirayu's secret technique. Just 2 centimeters from Negi's head, Setsuna screamed and sliced through the stone he was concealing. Amazing. She cut that stone right in half. Negi began to chant, Ros telephone ma scir, Magister Franz exclamatio. Good job, Aniki. You've gotten rid of her weapon, exclaimed Chamo, catching Setsuna off guard as her sword flew out of her hands. Before her attacker could even move, Setsuna grabbed him by the neck in a much more private area, grinning at the stupidity of believing she had lost because she had misplaced her sword. Who are you? I'll crush it and snap it off if you don't respond, Setsuna commanded. A voice behind her said, do that and you won't have a head to fight with, and she felt her sword held to her neck, ready to strike. Setsuna gritted her teeth because she hadn't sensed this one at all, but she removed her hand from her first attacker and gave the man an elbow to the gut. Setsuna grabbed the sword and spun to slash the man down, but was stopped by the man's own blade, which she noted was small, about the size of the dagger. Naruto grunted in surprise and dropped the sword by accident. She swung again and he deflected the blow away from him, but Naruto was glad he kept his weapons sealed on his skin because otherwise, he would have been as easily destroyed as she had that rock. The man swung around and stood atop Setsuna's blade, and the additional weight threw her balance, causing her to stumble. Setsuna recovered instantly and stabbed toward her attacker, but she was stopped cold when her blade got caught in the ring at the end of his dagger. She landed on a rock with a hard thump, but she recovered in time to see the dagger, a kunai she noted, land right next to her ear. Naruto wasted no time in kicking her across the path, and when she rolled out of the way, her blade stabbed in the ground a centimeter from her face. You mind telling me why you're attacking us, Setsuna? Setsuna attempted to turn around, but was met with a kunai in her face and a foot landing harshly on her stomach. Naruto posed a serious question. Naruto. Sensei. Surprised, Setsuna stammered, so, who was the other one? NN Negi. Sensei, she said, turning to see the shell. Shocked Negi frozen against the rock. When Setsuna realized what and who she had grabbed, she blushed and stammered. What? Hello Asuna, was there anything you heard from the bath just now? In front of the changing room, Kanoka posed the question. Really? Asuna, who had not heard anything, inquired. I apologize. Setsuna apologized to both of her senseis, saying, I couldn't see well because of the fog, and I felt like someone was attacking. Naruto helped Setsuna up and turned away from her, saying, that was Negi. Setsuna was perplexed until she recalled both of their outfits and turned a deep red. Stupid Brad jumped the gun, she said. Ni-san, don't help her up. She works for the Kansai Magical Organization, chastised Chamo in a panic. You're Sakurazaki Setsuna, right? Admit it. What? No, I'm not, Setsuna disagreed. What is untrue? Just be honest with me, Missy. I'm watching you, don't undervalue me because I'm an ermine, Chamo protested. I'm not your adversary, I, number 15 Sakurazaki Setsuna, am Negi. Sensei and Naruto. Sensei's ally, Setsuna declared solemnly once more. I was aware. Naruto cheered with a fist pump and he turned toward Chamo. I told you so. Why? You mean, what do you? Negi stammered incredulously. Setsuna started to say, I'm Kanoka. Ojou. Samas, but was cut off by an ear-piercing scream. That scream. Negi let out a startled cry. Kanoka. Chan. Naruto let out a scream. Kanoka. Ojou. Sama. Setsuna screamed in alarm. As he ran toward the scream, Naruto threw Setsuna her sword. Setsuna pulled out her sword and asked herself, could it be that they're already making a move against Kanoka? Ojou. Sama. Confused, Negi said, Oju. Sama. Setsuna cried out, Oju. Sama, and ran off in Naruto's direction. Ah, Setsuna-san, just exclaimed Negi, bewildered and shocked. Chamo exclaimed, Aniki. It must be the Kansai Magic Association, as Negi attempted to run after Setsuna. Why? Yeah. That scream seemed to have come from the changing rooms, said Negi. But, Where's Naruto.ni? Additionally, Setsuna.san claimed to be an ally. However, what does she mean by that? As the two slammed the changing room door, Negi pondered. Negi rushed. Are you alright, Kanoka.san? Apart from the fact that monkeys were attempting to rob her and Asuna, Kanoka was doing fairly well. Embarrassed, Kanoka squealed, Eon, as she attempted to prevent a monkey from stealing her underwear. Asuna struggled to hold up her own panties and exclaimed, WH, Negi. What the hell are these monkeys doing to our underwear? It was an unsuccessful attempt because the monkeys removed Asuna's and Kanoka's bra and underwear as soon as she asked. A voice shouted from the side, what the hell are you damn monkeys doing? And everyone turned to see Naruto being stripped down by a group of pink-bow wielding monkeys. Naruto attempted to fight them off, but he was unable to kill the monkeys. Goddamn animal relations and sage. While some of the pink-bowed monkeys were screeching in triumph at finally removing Naruto's boxers, Asuna cried out, what is going on? As the monkeys danced on her and Kanoka. Kanoka begged helplessly, ah, Negi.kun, say, Chan, Naruto.kun, don't look. Naruto yelled, I'm too busy to look, as the pink-bowed monkeys continued to bury him. Too stunned to react, Negi asked, what the heck is this? Setsuna screamed, these damn monkeys. She was so upset to see her Oju Sama in such a state that she was actually shaking. What the hell do you think you're doing to OJOU? Sama, I'm going to cut you all down. Negi screamed in shock. Kaya, Sakurazaki.san, what are you doing? Asuna exclaimed, beginning to get scared when she saw Setsuna's blade. Is that a real sword? Negi had finally decided to take action, so Setsuna ignored her. Regretfully, the boy thought it would be better to assist the monkeys rather than the girls. Negi clung to Setsuna and grunted, you can't just cut up the poor monkeys. Instead, Setsuna cut up the monkeys and tried to shake the boy off by asking, ah, what are you doing, sensei? Help me, Naruto, sensei. Setsuna, I can't just kill the monkeys. Naruto yelled from beneath the expanding mound of pink-bowed primates. It goes against my code as a sage to kill any animal I won't eat. At last, Setsuna told the poor boy, these are just low-level Shikigami. All that's going to happen is they turn into wa. Setsuna was unable to complete her sentence because she and Negi stumbled as a monkey appeared and took her towel. With a loud moan, Naruto made a few hand gestures and exclaimed, wind style. Violent wind palm jutsu. Fortunately, Naruto could hear enough to realize that these were all fake animals. A loud clap was heard by the group, and then a huge gust of wind suddenly blew through the pink-bowed monkeys, sending them flying and turning them all into paper. Setsuna landed on top of Negi at that very moment. Setsuna hit her head on the floor and sat up, saying, ow ow. Fortunately, her butt was on something soft. Asuna stared in stunned disbelief as she looked down to see a panicked Negi staring at a very private area. Naturally, everyone turned to the source when the pink-bowed monkeys took off, only to discover that Naruto had already been stripped completely by the monkeys. As a result, Asuna and Setsuna could only become very enraged, and have very clear ideas about what it could be used for, upon witnessing Naruto in all his splendor. Naturally, Naruto was horrified by Setsuna's condition and forgot that he was also nude. Naruto yelled, what the hell are you two doing? As he yanked Negi out from under Setsuna, sending her crashing to the ground. If Naruto hadn't unintentionally given her a close-up look at it, she would have yelled in agony. When Asuna turned around, she saw the monkeys running off with a very nude Kanoka. Asuna had a good look too, and her nose was bloody now, though she would later deny it. Asuna called out to the three, hey, to get their attention. Those monkeys are getting away. Kanoka exclaimed, "Ayah," as they carried her out the door. While Naruto shouted, "Kanoka, Chan," Setsuna screamed, "Oju, Sama." Setsuna positioned her sword to strike as Naruto swiftly made a series of hand signals, and the two ran out the door. As she caught the girl, Setsuna screamed, "Shinryu secret technique, 100 burning cherry blossom petals slash," and whirled around, slashing everything in her path. Naruto exclaimed, "Wind style, vacuum serial waves jutsu," as he inhaled deeply and shook his head in multiple directions, causing multiple wind blades to capture any monkeys that strayed from Setsuna's attack. Asuna finally put on a towel and exclaimed, "Kanoka," in admiration of Setsuna and Naruto. Negi gasped, "Are you alright, Kanoka-san?" as he suddenly sensed a murderous intent toward him. The assailant nearly screamed in fear as she fled after Naruto felt it too and spat a needle right there. She was just a centimeter away from being struck. TCH, together, Naruto and Setsuna thought they got away. Kanoka said, "Say, Chan," capturing Setsuna's interest. When she looked down, she saw a happy Kanoka. "I don't really understand the situation, but you and Naruto-kun saved me, right? Thank you." With a trembling voice, Setsuna said, it was nothing," as she dropped Kanoka in the bathtub and turned a bright red. Setsuna had already started to run away at full speed before any of them could respond. Naruto scowled as Kanoka said, "Say, Chan," he had found a towel. Asuna asked in confusion, "What the heck was that all about?" Naruto asked inquisitively, "What the hell is Setsuna to you anyway, Kanoka? Chan?" Because he had always felt a strong desire to kill whenever he interacted closely with the girl. Negi exclaimed, "I want to know too. She called you, Ojou. Sama, earlier too. You've got some history with this Sakurazaki-san, don't you, Kanoka?" replied Asuna. "Yes," Kanoka finally said. "I've never really talked about it before with you, Asuna, but you know that before I moved and started to live with you I lived in Kyoto, right?" As the boys listened, Asuna nodded in agreement. "When I was a little girl, I was raised in a huge, quiet mansion. It was located deep within the mountains, so I didn't even have one friend to call my own." Naruto grimaced as he recalled how lonely that could be from his own amiable upbringing, until one day, Kanoka went on. An older woman Setsuna was walking with was asked by a man, "You're from the Shinmeryu school?" While Kanoka merely inclined her head curiously, the young Setsuna made a small bow to her. "Say, Chan was the first friend I ever had." A ball was passed to Kanoka, and Setsuna exclaimed joyfully, "Here it goes, Oju, Sama." While playing with her friend, Kanoka whimpered joyfully, "Yan, don't call me that." With a faintly melancholy smile, Kanoka remarked, "Say, Chan was learning kendo. She did things like drive the scary dogs away. She protected me when I was in danger." Hey, Asuna and Naruto exchanged a contented glance as Negi reflected, "It appears that she is still defending her." When Kanoka explained, "Even that time I nearly drowned in the river, she did everything she could to help me, but in the end we both had to be saved by the adults," Naruto began to get a vague idea of what was wrong. "I'm sorry I couldn't protect you, Kono. Chan," Setsuna sobbed. "I swear I'll become even stronger." Kanoka coughed a little and said, You don't have to do that," while she was covered with a blanket. "I just want to keep playing together." As she did something that was beyond Naruto's comprehension, Kanoka pretended to smile while wiping away her tears. But after that, Chan became busier and busier with her kendo training. "We never had much time to talk, and then I moved to Mahora, but when I was a first-year middle schooler, Chan also moved here. We were able to meet again, but it was like I had done something wrong," Kanoka said. Chan wouldn't talk to me like before." "Kanoka," Asuna said, uncertain of what to do, while Negi, who shared her sentiments, responded, "Kanoka-san." Naruto took action because he didn't like this at all. "Kanoka, Chan, you don't need to look sad." I'm not sad." Kanoka wiped away her tears and tried to deny it. "Yes, you are Kanoka," Naruto told her, placing his hand on her head. "You don't need to worry, though, because I promise that by the end of this trip, I'll make sure Setsuna is once more your friend." Really?" Kanoka asked in a hopeful but unconvinced manner. "It's a promise of a lifetime," Naruto assured her, striking his good guy pose. "And I never break my word, so smile, Kanoka." Chan grinned broadly. All right. When Naruto made a promise, Kanoka was certain that he would keep it, even though she wasn't sure what it was. She chirped with a genuine smile. Feeling better, Kanoka waved to Asuna and Negi and gave Naruto a quick kiss on the cheek before skittering down the hall. "Why did you promise something like that, Naruto? What if you can't keep it?" Asuna inquired. "I'm not going to fail another promise," Naruto uttered as he sighed and turned to face her and the equally intrigued Negi. "An additional pledge?" Negi inquired. Naruto trailed off. "Yeah, I once promised something very important to me, but I couldn't keep my word no matter how hard I tried. I'm not going to ruin another one." "What was the assurance?" Shamo inquired. "To bring back the boy she loved," Naruto murmured. "The guy was my best friend and he ran off to the enemy. Luckily, Setsuna's reason for staying away doesn't seem to be extreme like that bastard's was. I thought we were closer than that, but more importantly, is Sakurazaki-san our ally or enemy?" Asuna said, but it's disappointing that Kanoka hadn't told me about this before, not wanting to inquire about the fate of Naruto's best friend because it appeared to have seriously wounded him. "She's an ally," Naruto said, glad to move the conversation away from Sasuke. and, unlike what I previously claimed, she wasn't a spy. I heard you the first time, Shamo muttered to himself, but perhaps we ought to discuss the situation with her. Everyone should go to bed now. As they passed the rooms where his class would be held, Negi said in a pleasant voice. Chizuru grinned and said, "Okay," hugging Negi, Asuna, and Naruto. Had the three of them been more attentive, they would have noticed that she had given Naruto a slightly longer and closer hug than the other two. After scratching the back of his head and saying, "Night Chizuru Chan," Naruto burst out laughing and yelled, "Good night, Chisame Chan," to a sulking Chisame. Chisame complained, "Whatever," and slammed the door. "Good work Digazaru Negi. Sensei, Naruto-kun," Kaide smiled. "But, it sure seems quiet for the first night." Kaide and Naruto both giggled as Naruto said, "That's because most of the girls are passed out. They'll definitely be regretting it in the morning," Asuna laughed. "I hope I get to see Ainsho." Kaide leaned over and whispered to Negi, "I'm sure it'll be different tomorrow night," adding, "It seems like there's trouble brewing again, Sensei. Feel free to give me a call if you need anything." "Ah yes. Thank you Nagase-san," concurred Negi in a whisper. "I knew there was more to Kaide Chan than meets the eye," Naruto called to Asuna and Negi. "Let's check the doors you two," but neither had realized Naruto had overheard the entire conversation. Asuna shrugged and the three descended the stairs to find Setsuna attempting to adhere some seals to the wall. "Okay. Hey, what sort of barrier are you erecting there, Setsuna Chan?" Naruto inquired. "Oh, it's a barrier to protect against Shikigami," Setsuna responded with disbelief. "I'm surprised you recognized what it though Naruto Sensei. To start, I told you to call me Naruto or Naruto-kun, right? Second, it isn't that hard because I'm a bit of a seals master," Naruto said, flicking her forehead. "Oh, so Naruto.se, Naruto-kun is a mage?" Setsuna inquired. "Oh no," said Naruto, "ninja." The remark, "I've never seen a ninja use wind magic before," came from Setsuna. When Negi explained, that caused Naruto.ne-s from another dimension, Setsuna stared at Naruto in shock. "I'll explain later," Naruto replied. "But, you know Setsuna Chan, I noticed that you seem to be using magic too." Negi stepped in and said, "It's Japanese magic, Naruto.ne." "That's right," Setsuna replied. "I use it because it complements my sword technique." "I understand." From atop Negi's head, Shamo exclaimed, "So, you're like a magic knight." Asuna thought with a drop of perspiration, yet another person from a world where it isn't strange for an ermine to talk. "Oh, is it okay to talk about this in front of Kagurazaka-san?" Setsuna inquired, abruptly conscious of the girl's existence. "Yeah, it's fine," Negi said. When Asuna said, "I'm already knee-deep in this." To Negi's surprise, Naruto revealed, she learned about Negi's first day in Mahora. "What? I heard that from Asuna Chan." "Wow," exclaimed Setsuna, "shouldn't you exercise greater caution than that, Negi Sensei?" "Why? Yes." Setsuna was a little disappointed that Naruto wasn't shocked when he said, and, of course when he tried to erase Asuna San's mind he erased her clothes instead. "Of course, when I showed up the two were making one of those Pactio things." Startled, Setsuna gazed at Asuna and Negi. Wait, doesn't that mean MMF? Asuna covered her mouth and blushed a bright red, interrupting Setsuna. "Avoid it. Say. Just explain what you were going to say before," Asuna said menacingly. Right," Setsuna stumbled in terror. Who would have thought Asuna could look so menacing? Anyway, the enemy's meddling is getting worse. If this keeps up, Kanoka Ojou Sama will also be in the line of fire. We need to come up with a countermeasure. I've heard you're a skilled Western mage, Negi Sensei. Do you have any ideas? The ineffectiveness of our countermeasures appears to be contributing to the enemy's growing confidence. "I'm not really a full mage yet," Negi muttered. "Don't worry about it, Negi," Naruto reassured the kid. "It's hard to come up with any real countermeasures when we're somewhere public, but I guess it's time I took my game up a notch." After inhaling, Naruto sat in a meditative position and started to gather energy. "What is he doing?" Setsuna inquired. "Dunno," Asuna replied bewildered, expecting him to do something more than just sit there. "Naruto?" "Shush," harshly, Shamo said. "Shamo-kun?" Confused, Negi asked. "Aniki, do you not sense it? Just relax and you will," Shamo said. Negi did just that and saw that Naruto was accumulating a lot of natural energy, the kind of energy that is used when someone is about to cast a very strong spell. Negi wondered, what is he doing? I thought his world didn't have magic, so why is he gathering energy like that? What's happening, Negi? Setsuna and Chamo tensed up at whatever Naruto was doing, so Asuna asked as she caught sight of him. Naruto. Sen's Kun is gathering a great deal of energy, Setsuna said. The amount gathered for a big spell. What? But Naruto is incapable of using magic, Asuna stated. Wait, there's a strange thing going on. It's like he's balancing it out with that weird chakra power of his, Chamo called. What the hell did you do to yourself? The group exclaimed as Naruto opened his now yellow eyes 2 minutes later. Asuna shouted, startled by the frog-like eyes. What? Oh, I see now. I forgot you guys are unaware of this, Naruto said, scratching the back of his head. This is called Sage Mode. It's essentially a power-up in which I transform by harnessing the energy around me. It strengthens all of my jutsu and makes me faster, stronger, and more resilient. Most importantly, though, is that it gives me instant access to everyone's and everything's location. Asuna bellowed in admiration. Whoa, you have a lot planned, don't you? Naruto boasted. Course I do, as Setsuna gaped at him dumbfounded. She couldn't help but think, what the hell is he? That was some of the strongest power she had ever experienced, and it was an accomplishment in and of itself that it didn't destroy him. Any mage who collected that much energy would have had to cast a spell immediately or risk blowing up. The problem right now is that I don't really know the city though, Naruto said, letting Sage Mode fall. There's no one new in the building. That is a problem, but not one I can see you being able to fix, Setsuna remarked, aware that being more aware of your surroundings is one of the best defenses. Naruto immediately made the well-known cross-shaped hand sign, multi-shadow clone jutsu, as he and the group went outside. Oh, I have a way if you just follow me, Naruto said. All of them were left speechless by the sight of the enormous cloud of smoke that covered Negi, Asuna, Chamo, and Setsuna, blinding them until the wind blew it away. Because there were more than 1,000 Narutos in front of them. What on earth is this? Asuna screamed as she actually touched 2 of the clones. They're real. What are you, Naruto? Setsuna muttered, shadow clones, but I've never known anyone to be able to make so many at once. All right, guys. Get out there and learn as much as you can. Give at least a 5-minute break between intervals and dispel by the hundreds. Naruto gave the order. Hey, Roger. The Naruto clones gave a salute before leaping off in strange directions. Naruto exclaimed, all right, now that's taken care of, let's move on to the next section, but Setsuna was perplexed by something. What use would it serve you, Naruto-kun, to send all those clones out there? Setsuna inquired. Harshly, I don't understand, Naruto said. Well, as far as I know the shadow clone jutsu is only good for being able to fight multiple people and nothing else, Setsuna replied. You act like there's more to it. Naruto explained, my version of the shadow clones lets me learn anything they learned, leaving Setsuna speechless once more. Of course, they can't affect me physically, so even if a shadow clone gets physically stronger, it won't make me stronger. Negi caught on and said, so, the reason you told them to dispel little by little is to avoid information overload, Naruto stated. It is not pleasant to get over 1,000 memories in a single instant. Asuna exclaimed in amazement, man, no wonder you were called Daikage, and Setsuna was taken aback. Anyway, you mentioned a next part? What? Oh, right. Naruto smiled and said, I can do a couple of things, but I can't do anything too complicated because this place is too public. With a nod, Naruto released the jutsu, and the wires wrapped around the nearby tree like a web. He quickly put the tap back up after carving a generic seal on one of the walls and inserting a couple of wires that were channeled with his chakra to shoot around the tree. Unfortunately, all of my traps have to be manually activated to avoid people getting caught in it, Naruto said. Don't worry about that. Where the hell did those wires go? Asuna screamed. You see the pattern I drew on the wall? She nodded in response to Naruto's question. This is a basic storage seal. Water style. Water burst jutsu comes next. Naruto spit out a small amount of water around the garden faucet to make it look like it had been on. Shadow clone jutsu. With a nod, Naruto created a few more shadow clones to perform the same action throughout the rest of the building. Another shadow clone was created and moved close to the faucet, using the hidden in water jutsu to appear to melt into the puddle with a simple hand gesture. After telling them, the next stop is the front gate, they walked quietly there. Naruto then carved more storage seals, this time on the ground, and threw a number of makibishi into them. He then repeated the process with the roads leading to and from the hotel. Now if they try to escape, it won't be pleasant and it should stop those cars things. Shadow clone jutsu. Alright, so do any of you have a mirror I can use? A couple more shadow clones showed up and changed into the random trash all over the place. Asuna silently gave him her spare one in response to Naruto's question. She was astounded by all of the trap work he had been performing. Thank you, Asuna. Chan. Telescope jutsu. Naruto exclaimed with a sly smile, causing her to flush. When the mirror suddenly revealed Kanoka sleeping in her room, Setsuna, who was staring at it, questioned what he was doing. Oju. Sama. Setsuna let out a startled cry. The telescope jutsu lets you view a person as long as you remember what their energy felt like. In my world that would be chakra, but here I can tell by the feel of her magical energy, Naruto said. Of course I needed to enter sage mode to properly sense it and memorize it. Oh, don't worry Asuna. Chan. Naruto reassured the girl, speculating as to what had upset her, realizing that Asuna was staring at him with a furious and indignant expression. The telescope jutsu doesn't let me watch a person change or go to the bathroom, a needed flaw. When Asuna realized what was bothering her, Setsuna also sighed with relief. So, is that all of the traps, Naruto-kun? Setsuna inquired. All that I can set up without raising suspicion, Naruto said. This seems sufficient enough, asserted Setsuna.
That's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this great story. See you in the next one.